I mean, that's a perfect Steveism straight into, is it Clark and Door with the front fell off? You're talking about the UPS with the front come off. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't.
No.
It's a fantastic little sketch with two blokes. I want to say that they're Aussie, but talking about this, it's done as like a news interview type thing.
The front of the ship.
Yeah, where they crashed the big oil tanker and the front fell off.
Oh yeah. You told me this before. I didn't get it from the initial reference, but
it's very good. We'll put the link in the chat because someone, not in the chat, but somewhere for something, and
it'll be somewhere
things and stuff
in text.
Yeah.
Who's got
Talk
the
about
duck
just falling straight into it. Duck in the face.
Who's got the duck? No. Who's got the duck in the live stream? Can we see that?
No, there's no duck.
Oh,
there is a duck in one
goose?
corner.
No. Duck's gone.
No.
This is
Duck's
is this
gone.
what is this
Paid
what
for
the
StreamYard.
Yeah.
Oh, how
Patreon
disappointing.
Are we getting into a Patreon sponsored ad within the first minute and a half? I mean, this is not what I have signed up for.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty certain at this point by now people have just figured that there is absolutely no structure to this.
If you weren't sure,
Look, the structure is 9:30 on a Sunday.
Well, yeah, true.
That's the structure. There's
Some
no other
Friends
structure.
and some Waffle.
Yeah, there's no other structure. The time it ends varies massively.
Well, we got a bank holiday tomorrow, so it's all good by me.
Ah,
fantastic! We didn't even do our pre-show check to see if there was anything. Or any
Like
time
it's not
we
like
need
I
to worry
could,
about, or-
like I couldn't sleep, but
True.
I don't have to get up at 7 a.m. So that's good.
is it a bank holiday for a particular purpose?
German unity, East and West united.
Ah,
Hey. Well, in
Yeah,
that case,
so loads of
congratulations.
celebrations, I guess.
What do you do? What's a standard German Unity Day in Berlin?
Nothing.
Other than just not going into work.
No. Usually there's like a big celebration at the Brandenburg Gate with music and stuff, but I don't know if there's anything on tomorrow. I will help a friend with some work and then just have a slow Monday, I guess.
That's fair. Do they do the same kind of thing that we have for bank holidays over here, or just everything sort of shuts down and no one does anything useful?
Yeah, I mean the stores are closed, and so can't really do anything. But everyone's got a free day off, which is nice. Long holiday, weekend. I mean.
I think it's what 30
Christmas
odd years ago.
What?
When did it unite? It was about 30 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 89.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Depends
89,
on like there are several dates on which you can. This is like the official Unity Day, but there's like several other dates that count as like I don't know.
The walking,
It's too late for me.
Yeah, Red's saying 89.
Yeah. So I was 1 year old.
So it wasn't you that pushed it down then.
That makes Andy the oldest.
What?
Only just.
Just. Yeah.
I mean, there are probably, I'd say probably, maybe there is a person who listens to this who's never seen the video feed. They have no idea how old Jamie or Andy are, or what they look like.
That's true.
Entirely
And enough
possible,
people have told me
yeah.
I look older anyway, so.
Yeah.
But if you think, like, what have you said about yourselves on recording? You said, Jamie, you said you've got a beard. Andy, you said you've got a beard. Like, have you given away any identifying information now?
I think I must have said my age at some point.
Yeah, I've
think-
mentioned the 70s and the 80s multiple times.
But decades of history rather than actual age for yourself.
No, as in being there. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not
Oh, yeah. No,
not century.
Yeah, not quite that old. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Regis said that he watched it live on TV. I mean, any of you guys, aside from Dr. Malty, could have probably watched it as well, right?
Yeah, well,
So the whole
I wouldn't have
pushing the
known what
wall
was going
down
on, but-
and looking for freedom and stuff.
I've definitely seen the video since then.
Yeah,
The
I'm not sure if I have
iconic-
memory or I've seen clips since, and that's my memory. I can picture the Hoff. That's probably about it.
It's great when someone says, name a thing you remember about the unification of Germany, and the
The
Hoff,
Hoff stood on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that says it all, doesn't it, really?
What
I mean,
the
according
Hoff
to-
symbolizing decades
Well,
of.
I mean, he's still claiming that he was the reason for it. So that's that.
Let him have it. He's not
Yeah.
got much else, to be fair.
I mean, of all the museums
They
I went
watch
to
the
in Berlin,
unification of Germany.
yeah, the smallest museum was the museum to the Hoff, and it was in the basement of the hostel I was staying in. Yeah, it was just basically a corridor towards the toilet. They put a couple of.
It was
big
amazing.
posters up and it was really good, wasn't it? And then you kept going around, and there was a bar.
Was it a museum or some sort of altar?
I mean, they called it a museum, and it's not. It wasn't just a slightly weird translation. It was there were exhibits. There was a poster. There was, I think, like a signed copy of some memorabilia. There was like I don't know, a pamphlet.
Was there a
from
hologram
Baywatch
of
DVD.
something that you couldn't see anymore, or
I thought
usual.
no. It was. There wasn't even like a you could rub a crayon on a bronze plaque of his face. It was very disappointing. I couldn't do a transfer.
surely it would have just been like on his abs or something?
You'd think so. Yeah, if you're gonna do a
Breast
is it
rubbing,
called a bronze rubbing before I
something like that. Yeah.
get into deep water? Yeah. Anyway, they didn't have one, and I was disappointed. And I couldn't squash a €1 coin either into a Hoff related piece of tat.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it probably wasn't a real museum, was it?
Well,
Was there a gift shop?
I was just going to say it needs a gift shop before it's a museum, doesn't it?
There was like you could exit through the bar. I don't know if
That's
that
close
counts.
enough.
It's close enough to a gift shop, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I've had
Souvenir.
alcohol in a museum before. Went to one of the science museum lates. They're really good. They serve wine, and there was a silent disco.
Oh, nice.
It was a bit odd, but yeah, you got to have.
I've never been to a silent disco. I can imagine it being quite strange.
A mate of mine went to one, but he didn't want to pay the money for the headphones, so it was, it's like
It's just a silent then, isn't it?
yeah, it's like a few quid to rent the headphones, and he just went, no, sod that, and then stormed in, and then got very, very, very confused for the time he was in there. Just nothing to do, no real enjoyment
We had a
whatsoever.
mobile silent disco at our last work party. One of the nurses brought like just a crate of headphones and like these transmitters, and everyone, we had 3 phones plugged in. I mean, it wasn't in like the village hall. It was just in a normal pub, not in a room above a pub, not in like an outside area above a pub, just in a pub. And so there was this area where we were all, there were probably 40 of us, and we'd set up our own silent disco, and everyone else was around was like, oh, I didn't know they were doing an event. Yeah, I didn't see the signs. It's like, no, it's just us. We brought it along. We got one person.
Brought our own.
Yeah. No, someone came over and said, oh, can I join in? What's the cost? I said, oh, it's free. It's our work party. And then, great, free. I don't think they quite caught the second half of it's our work party.
Did you drag him into the operating theatre the following day?
Yeah, once we'd cleared everyone out who accidentally went back there instead of home.
Have you seen the video clip of the 3 guys having a silent disco in their back garden? Because that is
Yes.
absolutely amazing.
That's amazing.
someone from like another house filming out the bedroom window, just 3 blokes doing completely different dances. It was just glorious. Obviously oblivious to anyone else watching them.
Sort of dancing around a barbecue, weren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe so they're following Neil's suggestion. Yeah, Neil's just suggesting when best fun when running a silent disco is to give one person different music to everyone else and watch the confusion.
I mean, there's got to be some people who are just doing very obscure dances anyway, even if you're all listening to the same music, even when it's not a silent disco and everyone gets the same. It's always that one very unique dancer on the floor.
Well, how long before it's kind of a VR disco? So everyone's got a headset on as well, so they can't actually see anyone else.
Just dances at home or what? Like, where's the fun in that?
Well, they could be dancing at home, but I was just thinking actually a group of people. And whether they kind of would respond, the VR system would respond quick enough to kind of go, you're just about to bump into somebody. Oh, too late.
It's probably already a thing, and we're just not aware of it.
It's going to be some sort of meta disco or something.
Yeah, I thought when I heard like people going, oh yeah, like a big party this weekend, we were all on Zoom. I was like, oh, I haven't heard of this stuff. What does Zoom do, and how do you take it? Disco. Going out to a disco is different in my era.
Perhaps something needs to therefore invent or develop something that can be taken that's called Zoom, and
I would imagine.
Go,
there is
we had a
something
party
by now.
on Zoom. Yeah.
It's like
Well,
people who
dogs
name
got the zoomies
Yeah.
in English. That's already been taken. I don't know what they are taking though. It's like
God,
happiness and tail wags.
yes.
Yeah. Whatever makes dogs happy, I wish people could have it too.
Yeah.
I think that is just called dogs.
Yeah.
Well, there's catnip. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's weird.
What's the human
That's
equivalent of
weed. Do
catnip?
you call that weed?
My mate discovered he's got a couple of cats, and he was having some trouble sleeping. So I had some valerian tea. So I sort of handed him one of the tea bags to say, have a try of that. And then he sent me a text the following morning saying that he didn't quite get to it because he basically came in, put the tea bag down on his desk. The cat turned up, dove at the tea bag, and tore it to shreds, and just rolled around in it as if it was catnip. It's very closely related.
What was it called?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah, valerian root.
Like Game of Thrones?
Like Valerian
Valerian?
steel.
Yeah. Throw it on dragons and they just get a bit sleepy.
Yeah. Dragon nip.
Yeah.
Neil's on form this evening. Apparently Zoom
Nice.
maybe another name for PCP.
Maybe.
Apparently.
I don't think you never keep up with proper slang.
No.
Well, my understanding of it from the training that I've had as a teacher was that it's very regional anyway.
You had slang training?
For narcotic substances, yes.
Oh, I'd love to sit in on that. That'd be amazing.
Deadly boring, to be honest. You get some sort of police officer turn up that can kind of with a box with kind of opens up, but everything's behind perspex, and then kind of goes through kind of what's fashionable lately and what it's being called, so you can keep your ears open and sort of see whether people are talking about the children are talking about particular things.
Yeah, it sounds like an exercise in realizing just how uncool you are. Not
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But a few trainings like that over the years, some do with drugs, just some to do with kind of things that youth like to get up to in their spare time. And it's like what? Really? It's just
I mean, that's such a beautiful way of phrasing that as well. Here's how old we're going to make you feel by seeing what the generation 2 below you are doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, completely over my head. Yeah, it's like, but I mean, yeah, it's scary sometimes when you kind of find out what young people sometimes are up to in evenings. Yeah, you kind of hear about 12-year-olds getting home at 1:00 in the morning on a school night. Yeah,
That's not new, no, is it? I don't think it
No,
is. I think
no.
you just, as you get older, you get more critical of it, and more aware of it, and more
No,
forgetful
I think
of what you were like as a 12-year-old.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
I
I
would
think it's the
think so
scale
too.
of it. It's the scale of it sometimes, though.
Yeah, there are more libraries open late, aren't there? Yeah, I guess they're chucking them out at 1:00, aren't they?
So I actually wish libraries were open late. Yeah, it's like, what? Why close a library at 5:00? Oh yeah, best 7:00. I think I've seen a library close at 7:00, and that was like one day a week. It's like, yeah, okay,
Because you
yeah,
can get books online.
yeah, it's not the same though. I like a real book, as you can't tell. Yeah, it's like,
I think what we need to do is find some kind of method of having a flip overable page on some kind of tablet, so Andy can keep the book experience of being able to turn the page over.
yeah, but I bet you
gotta be
can't put.
some-
Bet you wouldn't be able to put a pen to keep the page because you're looking something up 50 pages on, and then going back. Yeah, you'd have
Or
to think
staple
that.
a
Right?
note in.
Well, not twice anyway.
What were you saying about age indicators when we started, James? I'm sorry, Andy. I'm sorry. I take it all back.
I mean, I've got rid of the scrolls. Yeah, trying to get in with the 20th century, 21st century. I mean,
That was definitely a Freudian slip.
I remember just before we started, Andy, you were saying about how this was a whole vibe, weren't you? You've got all of the modern vernacular down.
He's a jive cat.
yeah,
It's all a ruse.
yeah. I'm not modern vernacular. No, I'm not good with modern vernacular. Gets me into
It
trouble
is-
all sorts of times.
It is funny hearing my 12-year-old coming in with, like, oh, Dad, do you know what this means? I'm like, well, I know what the word means. What does it mean now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's seen the, oh, mummy, what does virgin mean? Cue long, awkward discussion. Oh, so what does extra virgin mean? Yes, I'm glad we've had
yes.
this discussion now, child.
We have done the talks on context, as quite early on. It's like when you're discussing anything, get context first, then answer the questions.
Yeah, it's like when somebody describes somebody as sick. It's like, well, if you're sick, that's not good. But describing something as sick,
It's so
in
sick,
certain
man.
context, yeah,
Mom.
can be good. And you just can't keep up. I mean, there are other ones. Yeah, it's just like,
When I was a teenager, it was mint.
I thought it
Everything
was
was mint.
spiffing.
Yeah.
You can pay the royalties to the boys then.
When was spiffing like a thing?
I think when Andy was young.
18, 20, something like that.
Are you answering the spiffing bit, or when Andy was young? Yeah.
Oh no, I was answering the specific bit. I'm done with digging at you now. I've done too many.
Give it another half an hour.
I think spiffing was a kind of like 1950s or Enid Blyton books. That's when we've got more lemonade, spiffing. When like wow,
Lashings and lashings of ginger
I
beer.
would
exactly.
I would venture to say possibly even going back into maybe like the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, that's the image that it gives me.
Yeah. I think that's the cut.
But definitely the kind of Enid Blyton.
Yeah,
kind of,
that
was
era.
definitely. I'm not sure when Enid Blyton books were written.
Yeah, long enough ago that Dick and Fanny were two of the characters in the Faraway Tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Enid Blyton
that
was
was
born
good,
in
isn't
1897 and died in 1968.
Yeah, so writing,
And they were
20s,
written in the
30s.
40s, 30s and 40s. Looks like the majority of the books were.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
The strange thing, like what has persisted as, because in my mind, saying something's cool is, not like, oh wow, that's cool. Immediately we'll completely dismiss it, but it seems to have persisted. Like groovy is a very dating. Like you can tell when that person, when they grew up. Much like when we learned French at school, we thought hyper schwet cool was like.
I'm going to just take some notes just on what I should or shouldn't be saying anymore.
Well, so the reason I like super chouette and we thought was just like what French people thought was what you said, and then our teacher said, "Yeah, whoever wrote this book grew up in the 70s." That was kind of like, let's go to the discotheque and like, oh yeah, what do you think? Oh yeah, chouette cool. As I'm sure Red will now be like laughing at me, going, "You haven't pronounced it right." And no, that's not what it means.
I think you'd just be glad we're having a go at it.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah, I mean, like the kind of the Scouse millennial type phrase was boss growing up, so everything was boss. Like, it's just the kind of the very, very Scouse millennial phrase, and even like my dad says it now to try and be, kind of cool and with the kids, and like my younger brother's just like, oh, Dad, shut up.
Yeah, whereas I went for a walk this weekend. I went to stay with some friends and near Kidderminster on like some really bad graffiti. The K-Town Boys, as they had chosen to call themselves. Written, but they normally you'd write swear words or you'd write you'd draw something, but they wrote "This triggers you." And I thought, oh, what a strange thing to write.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the sign of the Ute.
Yeah.
Well, did it?
It made me slightly confused. I don't think it did anything other than that.
It triggered something, maybe.
Yeah, it's like
thought.
Confusion. If
they're trying to offend in the biggest possible way, maybe that's really quite a clever thing to write. I don't think they were. I don't think the K-Town Boys are. Not that I should be giving them any more publicity.
Well, there is a K-Town massive in the town that I live in as well, because it is also starting with a K. So maybe it's just the level of intellect of the people who start a collective. Yeah.
Or maybe we're talking about an organisation that's kind of across the country, but only in places beginning with K.
Yeah, networked gangs
suddenly we're in
semi-intellectual graffiti. Yeah,
aren't we? Yeah.
Trying to think of places beginning with K now. Can't think of many.
Kingston.
If you do, just think of more than 3, please.
Kilbride. This is going to be quite a fun game for anyone listening in their car, because they're going to be shouting at us, going like, "Why haven't you picked?"
Yeah. There's a board game which I can't remember the precise name of, but you have to come up with 5s. So you get kind of a clue, and you have to as a group.
Okay.
It's kind of a group team game where you kind of then have to come up with a list of 5 things. So it could be
continents
or hits from 1988, or places beginning with K, towns in England beginning with K.
Kettering.
Guests on Maker's Waffle.
It's quite a good game.
Actually, gold rings would be the obvious start.
Yeah. Yes. It's nearly that time of year again. I keep seeing stuff in the shops and get enraged that it's the start of October and there's Christmas stuff.
There's a whole sort of group of people who are absolutely furious at October being the start of Christmas shopping season. purely because it's detracting from their favourite holiday, which is Halloween. So you say no, it should be 1st of November is start of Christmas shopping season, because then you can get all the Halloween taft out of the way.
But the 1st of November is the day that we remember the kind of 90s noughties era of excellent music. All Saints Day. I assume, I'm
That's
not being
niche.
on my... Yeah. If you want to go for church or Protestant English, or maybe not even just English, but Protestant church holidays and 90s music. Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of crossover there. That's probably the one.
Yeah. There's one person at home with their dog collar on and their guitar out going, yes, this one's for me.
Just making sure that it's the other type of dog collar. The 90s music one,
Yeah. But that's where the name comes from, isn't it? Halloween. It is
All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve, All Halos Eve. It's the All Saints Day is the day after. So it's like Christmas Eve. So really, we should be trying to think. What do we do on Christmas Eve? Do we do something that's the complete?
Well, it varies depending around the world. Different places.
We get presents on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, several countries do that preferentially to Christmas Day. Then there's also St. Nicholas's Day, which is a couple of weeks before, which I think
6th of December.
Yeah, which I think is particularly. Certainly, I used to work with a guy who was married to a Dutch lady, and because they kind of go over there, they've raised their kids bilingually, etc. They do something on the 6th as well as Christmas Day.
Well, on the 6th, traditionally the kids have to clean their boots and put them in front of the door, and then they get filled with sweets and like oranges and stuff like that. So they have like a little Christmas before the actual Christmas. These days they also get like gifts and stuff, but traditionally it's just like, I don't know, walnuts and oranges and tangerines and sweets and stuff.
Health food,
yeah.
I don't like Brazil nuts though. When else do you eat Brazil nuts other than Christmas?
Yeah, and walnuts.
It's more like you buy them and then just look at them. And that's always what happens in our house anyway. We buy a load of nuts and then just don't eat them.
Well, it's that cyclical thing, isn't it? Or you end up you buy them. You've enjoyed them at Christmas, so you buy them again when you see them on the sort of reduced in early January, and then you don't eat those until the following Christmas because you've completely forgotten all about the nuts by the time you've actually brought them home.
Brazil, it's difficult to get into Brazil nuts.
They are.
They're quite a hard nut. Yeah.
Unless you have a specific nutcracker. It's either going to be like a pliers and hammer job, or maybe a vice. Actually, a vice would make much more sense, but it does seem a bit overkill, doesn't it?
Vice works. Don't ask me how I know. Plier type nutcrackers generally don't.
Problem solved.
Sledge and an anvil, probably not the best blend.
Yeah, it kind of works if you want crumbled Brazil nuts. If you want Brazil nut bits for kind of going in a flapjacks or something, that works as long as you don't mind picking them up off the workshop floor. Again, don't ask me how I know that one either.
See, walnuts are the only ones that you don't. Well, I suppose walnuts and
pecan,
pistachios as well. You don't really need nutcrackers for those.
I do love pistachios. They are the best nut.
Yeah.
They're a favourite in this household as well.
I was going to say you are the best nut, but that might come wrong. You are a good nut, Duncan.
I think that depends where in the world you're using the word nut as well.
Well, if you use it as a singular, I think it might just work out.
You're the best.
I think you'd have probably got away with it if you hadn't started to explain it. I think.
Yeah.
We'll go back to vernacular
called
again,
worse.
isn't it? Yeah, it's like
True.
calling something the nuts. Yeah, used to be kind of a way of expressing that something was very good.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Don't know if it still is. But then if something is nuts, that's not necessarily good. So if it's the nuts, good. If it's just nuts, not good.
This is true.
Mhm.
That's what I saw the other day. There's something that.
If you're nutty, you're a bit loopy.
Are you thinking of the different types of stool? So like, dog
It's a
shit.
bit
is
nutty.
Oh, I
terrible.
saw
What
this.
is that?
Yes,
as
I
well?
saw
that
a
was-
guy
it
doing
was that.
stand up.
Yeah.
That
the
was
other
the,
day.
that was the
It
thing I
was
was thinking
great.
of. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Well,
going to call it the stool
the same.
chart, but that's something else.
Yeah. It wasn't Bristol related.
No, it was not.
We're going to have to just find all of these really ridiculous niche references and make Andy put them all in the.
Yeah.
Send me the links by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and I'll post them in
Oh,
the
that
show
sounds like
notes.
homework.
I feel so stupid because I don't get
No,
half
it's not
of them.
homework because I won't be marking it.
Yeah. But think how much fun you'll have listening back to this and looking up all the references.
None.
Especially for the people who are daft enough to listen to us in the car, to getting to the end of their journey and then trying to scroll back to where they were in the podcast.
Yeah. How many hours in was it that they mentioned that nut?
You know, I always wanted to get a nut tattooed, as in a screw nut
Oof,
kind of thing.
Not
Right.
bolt.
Nut and bolt,
Yeah.
yeah.
What size?
I like that. I like a wing nut, like a M12 wing nut. It's a good size.
It's
I think that's
one of the
that'd be a
better
good tattoo.
nuts. Yeah.
That's a big wing nut.
Big nut.
M12. Yeah.
What can I say?
It's only you that can say it, Karen.
I keep my mouth shut for now.
I like going around workshop. I mean, if you go like into like certainly like a school workshop and they have like a poster of all the different types of machine nuts that you can get. I just find those quite fascinating kind of thing.
Yeah,
Some of them are
that
quite
one,
obvious where they get used. Then you think sometimes, why would you use something like that? It's sort of ultra niche nuts.
No, that has got to be on a t-shirt. Just ultra niche nuts.
Yes. I expect stickers at next year's Space Central.
Great.
I'm sure somebody will come up with a
Castle
poster for that.
nuts. Castle nuts are an interesting
Yes.
nut.
Very good nut.
Well, I mean, castle nuts are often used in kind of sort of engines, aren't they? To stop something coming undone.
Yeah, and
You
wheel
mean
bearings.
Yeah,
castle,
sometimes on
as
wheels.
in a big old building.
Yeah.
Well, they've got the little
Yeah.
castellations on the top, so you can tighten the
Right.
nut down, and then you can put a pin through. And
I'm
it's-
learning so
It
much tonight.
stops
Yeah.
the nut from turning.
I think there's
Fancy
two.
nuts.
From memory, there's two different types, but like there's like I can't remember what they're called, but it's almost like tessellated and castle nuts, but it's something begins with T. Which is a really interesting point for me to add, seeing as I can't remember what they're called. It reminds me of the have you seen the anyone who's done any like slight interest in engineering digging around to sound like the offset screws for when you drill the hole in the wrong place.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen those made, and I almost thought, wouldn't it be a really nice thing to have a little shadow box of those, those physically made engineered nuts, for
The twin
oval holes
shaft.
and-
Yeah.
yeah,
The one that's got it's a blivet with the nuts. Oh, with the very bolt sections is really cool as well, because it's stuff like Penrose triangles and blivets and things. Just those impossible objects always make everyone a bit queasy. But yeah, I'd love to. I think you're right there, James. I think having that kind of physical representation of them in a workshop that would be a cracking product for someone like Hannah's to make.
yeah. Yeah, he'd be really good at that.
What'd be really cool though is if you've got like a sorting box. Some people put like the type of screw or nut or bolt or whatever on the outside of the sorting drawer, so they know which one to just look at it and pull rather than putting a label. Have those kind of completely impossible ones on the front instead. So when people come into the workshop, they're kind of going, "What?"
Yeah, I could do the same on the massive box where I keep all of the fasteners in one big pile. So
surely you just need like a large magnet for that, and it's just lucky dip. So you've got to, at the start of every project, just dip the magnet in, and then you've got to use those fasteners in the project.
Well, there's a name for the box. So if you do letterpress printing, there's with the individual letters, the type form. So of course they're hand composited. So you take each individual letter, put them together, right or backwards. So because obviously you print in reverse, and then when you're done, if you should put them back. But if you don't, they all got tipped into what's called a hell box. So in other words, apprentice would be sent to go and sort through the hell box to go and put stuff back if they were, there was nothing for them to do.
Fantastic.
I was just going to say the sort of thing a young child is useful for. I can remember probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I got my youngest to help me in the tinkerage one weekend. And I had assorted tubs of sort of different types of screws and whatever. So I got her to sort everything by type and length, and got her to remove all the Phillips head screws. So I've got no Phillips head screws in the tinkerage at all. I've got positive drive, and I do have some straight because they have their place, but there's no Phillips. Apart from
There's actually something that Tom Sachs does during his exhibitions. So if you're going through the whole indoctrination station, you have to sort like a box of random screws. You have just like a big bucket full of this shit, and then you just, I don't know, grab a handful and have to sort through it. And then when you're done with that, you're finished with the station, and then you go on to the next one. Like part of his shop thing, I guess.
Yeah,
so I don't know what it's.
Yeah.
Go on, Jamie.
Free labor.
I don't know what it says about my kind of like mindset with that, but like growing up with it's just a big box of Lego. Part of the fun is just wasting 20 minutes scrabbling through the bottom of the box for the little bits for that one that you needed. And I do the same with like PC screws. I've got just a bag of computer screws, so that if I'm you spend time rifling through to try and find 4 matching screws that all fit a power supply when you're building a PC or something. That's part of just little bits of weird fun, I think. If it's all nice and neat and organized, you get through the work quicker.
I wonder if there's a difference here. If there are people who like to have everything sorted and they know where every single thing is, and it's because they can't remember what they have. So if you mentally are the sort of person like, I know I've got it somewhere, but you never sort it. I wonder if there's a difference. So there are like physical sorters and mental sorters, and some people go, I know what I've got, and I've got this, and I've got one thing. And I bet that could work, but then you can't go and find it. I bet there are very few people who are, I know what I've got, and I know where it is, and I can remember everything I have. Or maybe they just don't own anything.
Well, there are those that kind of can remember everything they've got because they've got rid of everything and they've got very little. I mean, there are those kind of sick people, but we
haven't had the IKEA screws.
Really cool
5
people.
Years ago. Yeah.
But, I mean, I have significant quantities of hardware in the tinkerage, and I pretty much know what I've got, and I pretty much know where it is. Some of it is sorted. Some of it isn't. Would I like it all to be sorted? Yes. Have I got 10 years to do it? No.
Would you really like it? I always wonder about this. When a workshop is never finished, would you, if you're doing production work and it's your job, that's probably a different thing. That's like lean manufacturing and efficiency. But how much would you lose from the character of where you work if everything was kind of sterile, clean, and you knew exactly where everything was?
I quite like the organization, but I'm terrible at implementing it. Really, really bad. But I really like it when it is sorted, and I do enjoy the process of organizing things. So if recently, I'm trying to think of an example. So I bought a load of bolts, and they come in this horrible, shitty box. They're hex machine screws, and they need sorting out into proper boxes so I know where they all are. So they've all gone into the parts drawers, and I love that that's organised, and they're all labelled on the front. But that's the most organised part of my entire garage. Everything else is just like where it will fit, rather than
if you find one
in a
the
suitable
corner,
place.
Do you go and put it back?
No, quite often a random screw or nut or bolt will go into a magnetic dish. Right, I've got a magnetic dish that's always sat on the worktop, and then every couple of months I'll sort the dish out.
See, I tend to go for all of the machine screws that I use for like 3D printing stuff. It's all M3 and M4 generally. So I've got those all in because I'll order them from the same place every time, and they always turn up in little bags that are all labelled, and those are all grouped together in like a sort of box thing. So I can at least then grab the bag out and put the screws back in. But it is exactly the same sort of thing. I've just got a collection of random ones that I haven't put back in the bags. Yeah, and then when you run out, you just buy more. And then your collection of random ones grows.
Being organised is not an event. It's a way of thinking. It's not the tidying up and putting everything in a place once. It's finding that screw and putting it back. So I love my Racco sorter boxes, but I'm not organised. I just have everything in one box once. I remember, and it's like hanging on to wood. People who was like, I went to this cabinet shop and they had so many good things in their scrap bin. And I remember, Carol, and I sort of helped you with something, and I was like, do you want me to keep this tiny little thing? Like, no, just keep working. Time is valuable. This tiny scrap of paper is of no use to us. Come on. But it might be. I could turn it into a little mouse, and I could draw it. I was like, get back to one. But because you are essentially a professional maker. Do you find that do you hang on to things? Do you have that emotional attachment of this is a really nice thing, and I'll just keep it over here, or are you able to separate it?
I do have a few things which I then never use. That's more a problem, right? You hang on to it so much that you are never going to use it. Certain kind of fabric or something, which is I only got 1 meter of this really nice fabric. I really need to be careful what to do with it. Right?
Got to keep it for something special.
Yeah. But usually it's so much crap, right? And now that the client is paying for the material anyways, it's I don't need to be so precious about it. If it was all my money that would go to waste, I would probably handle it differently, I guess. I don't know. I'm not throwing everything away. I'm very careful about reducing the cost, because in the end, usually I make package deals, so I have a number in mind for material costs, but if I keep that number for myself down and I can reuse a lot of stuff that I already have, it's of course a better margin for me, right? So but I'm not hanging on to every little scrap piece of wood anymore. It's
it was being careful about trying to fit objects onto a sheet of foam board or something. It's not that you'll just go, everyone wherever one's like, no, we'll keep that bit. And I remember saying, oh, like that one, I know that I've just cut this one. Let's keep that off cut for the same thing where we need to do it again.
Yeah, but of course, if it's like big enough that you can use it at a later point, of course. But if you have like a ton of offcuts, then it's not worth anymore.
I suppose at that point everything gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you can just give it to people who make pens or something.
Yeah, I do wonder. Like, is there a hierarchy? Do you reckon there's like cabinet shops that chuck out half panels of plywood because it's of no use to them?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the peak or the bottom of the maker raw material pyramid?
Well, I mean, my shopmate Max, he's like doing mostly woodworking stuff, right? So he's been clearing out a lot of his stuff, and I'm like just sitting next to him all the time, like, I'm gonna take this, I need this. So he would just throw it all away. I'm like, no, I can still use that, right? Even if it's just for burning in the end.
Warmth.
The warmth, yeah. Speaking about the heat and the long cold winter that's about to come. But yeah.
There are some processes, aren't there, that you just go through raw material. Yeah, like if you do cut out silhouettes from paper, you like 2 pieces of paper is really useful for you. If you do letterpress printing, you'll burn through 50 just setting up a job if you don't really know what that's why if you want to have letterpress stuff, if you want 12, you might as well just order 200. Like, there's got to be so having your shopmate being like, oh well, I do this, and you're like, oh well, those are perfect for me. It's almost like, who do you pair up? If you're a wood turner, do you find somebody who does chainsaw carving? Because they'll always have offcuts. There's got to be some. If you're all resin and wood, like that tends to work quite well, doesn't it? A couple of my friends today who are not specifically makers saying, oh yeah, and I saw this thing, and a guy makes cubes out of wood offcuts and resin. Yeah, so there's got to be something, hasn't there?
Yeah, I guess. But even with fabric, I mean, there's always the thought of like, oh, I could make like a patchwork blanket out of that or whatever, but I don't really give a shit. So most of the time I don't throw the stuff away. If I have like not so nice fabric left, I usually just like cut it up and use it as a towel to clean up stuff or something.
A shop rag sort of thing.
Yeah, but of course, if it's a really nice fabric, I keep it, and you can always make like little pencil cases or something out of that. It's a bit more difficult with the like fake fur, I suppose, because it's like, what are you gonna use it for? If you just have like a 20 by 20 scrap piece of fake fur, it's like, I don't know.
Just random adornments of facial hair on a string or something for parties.
Yeah, but I guess in the end, as long as I have my shop, it will eventually all pile up, and if I have to move, I will sort through it and throw away a lot of stuff. But right now, if it's there, it's okay. It's not bothering anyone.
There are probably some things that suit it better, aren't there? Like if you do, because Duncan, you've done a fair amount of Jesmonite casting. I guess you can, like the bits that aren't useful, you can break off and do like a terrazzo style.
Yeah, exactly.
Color.
Yeah, you just crush it all up and reuse it. Yeah. And if there's anything left in the pot when you mix a batch, you pour it out on a piece of cling film or baking sheet or whatever. Let it dry, let it cure, and then that'll be terrazzo bits as well.
So that's a really cool process. The fact that the wastage from one project becomes a feature of the next.
Yeah, I really love the I don't know, what's the word? Principle? That's not the right word.
Circular economy?
Yeah, I like that bit. That bit. Yeah, I like that there's like zero waste. I wish that was the same with 3D printing as well.
Yeah.
It kind of is, but not at a level where I can manage it.
Like that was one of my harebrained ideas a while back, was to take the concept of what Brothers Make are doing, and to like essentially if you had 3D printing stuff and something like a CNC, that you could then remelt and like make cast panels of or cast lumps of your melted print failures essentially, and then turn them or mill them or something into something different. That was kind of the harebrained idea that got absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, it's just not really practical for a hobbyist with a printer to be really be doing that. There's a couple of places where you can send off your waste, and they'll turn it into new filament. So it's kind of getting there, but yeah,
it's economies of scale, isn't it? Eventually, it will become something that's just cheap enough that yes, you can have a unit about the size of a 3D printer, which you put a empty spool at one end, you put you have a hopper which you put your broken bits into, and it chews it up and spits out some filament.
That would be lovely. One day.
I guess there are. It's if you want to get into making and you are particularly focused on recycling, you think of like a lot of jewelry making. Obviously, burning gas or whatever to heat up the metal is not particularly good. But all of the casting work I've done, because it is so expensive, if you buy any gold, you're going to make sure you use every last gram and reuse it, and you collect so when you
says the one
or throw it somewhere in your workshop.
Spread it across the workshop.
That was platinum, and I didn't need to be reminded of the one time I exploded an entire ring's worth of platinum across my workshop. Yes, thank you.
There goes how many pounds of material?
I'd rather not think about it.
You knew it was going to be us that would bring that up.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You'll find it one day.
I've been cleaning up a lot. Trust me, I cleaned up a lot for the rest of that day.
I was going to say it ended up in a sewer anyway, right?
I mean,
most expensive shop vac.
Clean shop, happy shop.
Full of platinum.
I even thought what I could do is I could sweep up all of the dust, put it into a little crucible, burn it, whatever's left.
I was just going through what would because you could go for different types of acids in rotation to get down to that point where you're only left with something that Aqua Regia will get through.
Yeah, you could do, but then by that point you've wasted more money on that.
On the acids,
equally.
yeah.
But I thought if you burnt it down, that would make sense. But the problem is that platinum, you need to have specific platinum crucibles, because it's science. So in theory anyway, you should, so if you're doing casting or of precious metals, you should try and keep separate ones for each metal so you don't contaminate things. But yeah, by that point I just condemned it to learning experience.
And just knowing that your friends will remind you at some point down the line.
Yeah.
Professional jewelers will traditionally you have to have that curved bench, which with the peg on which they sort of do their cutting. Underneath that is traditionally kept a piece of leather, or it can be other materials, to catch just all the bits of dust that you have when you're filing and sawing. So you can actually collect that.
You can send it in. There's different grades. So bench sweepings is like a. Yeah, you say how much weight you've got, and they'll go, oh, well, what is it? Is it casting sprues? Is it this? Is it that? Yeah, I've got a tiny little pot with a very small amount of, not a lot of, precious metal in. There's quite the technology they use to look at it. What they do is they melt it down. At least I believe this is how they do it. They melt it down and then use X-ray fluoroscopy to look at it, which are the coolest things. I really want an XRF gun. If anyone has one, I would really like one.
You've been after one of those for a while.
I have.
They are cool.
It's been at least a year and a half since I last saw one, because I remember it was like not that long before the wedding, and I was like, I just need to go and look at this thing. It's very important. But they shoot X-rays at metal, look at what bounces back, and it tells you the percentage of each atomic metal, and so you can go, it's what type of bronze is it, and it's the closest to magic.
Like little graph.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because if you think with like, because Duncan, you do stuff, your the gas analyzers, like you can kind of think like, well, different things are going to absorb different amounts of different gases will absorb different amounts of infrared. You can kind of think about that. But if you just shoot X-rays at something and then magic comes back, that is still mind blowing.
I think it's still X-rays that come back.
Yeah, I was going to
Magic.
say.
Yeah.
I imagine it's the sort of thing where you need to be wearing a lead apron, really, or something like that.
No. So you can have handheld XRF guns. So like if you go to
But should you?
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
what
deal with
points it at.
Duncan.
But if you go to a jeweler, like some of the bigger jewelry places to get stuff valued, before it was hallmarked, that was the standard, and now they can just go "Bleh, XRF and just tell you what's in it, which is so cool.
It is
not cool enough that anyone out there should hang on to theirs, but cool enough that I should.
But you're willing to take it off their hands if they.
I'm willing to say,
Yeah.
Yeah. I might even
50
come
quid.
pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got like obviously you want
You
an
know the answer
XRF
to
gun,
this
and
question.
I'm sure the list is long, but is there a top piece of weird kit that you're after? You've got a lot of weird kit already.
I have. So I thought for a long time it was a vacuum metal coater, and I thought I got a sputter gun, but I've actually got a thermal deposition chamber. So maybe it's the attachment that will do that. Because the thing one of the things I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make your own lens, like an optical lens, because you can do optical coatings on it. So one of those things might be a high vacuum kit, just to look, and optical coatings to measure the thickness, so that if I could stick something, because what you can do with those, you can stick a 3D printed thing in and cover it in metal, which is really quite cool, but it's the precision level stuff where you actually have to deal with high vacuum and things like the glue. Weirdly, JB Weld is actually high vacuum rated at standard. There's a high vacuum version of it as well, but they super high level. Like the gaskets you use to join bits together make a difference because they will off gas. Like if you think of you can smell certain plastics. They are off. They're releasing gases that you'll notice picking up. If you put them in a vacuum, the amount that they release is higher than the pump that you've got can get rid of. Because obviously there are like big pumps that most people use as a vacuum pump. That's a roughing pump, gets rid of most of stuff. But then you need something like a turbomolecular pump or a diffusion pump, which are really cool. It's like turbomolecular pumps look like jet engines, and you'd think that they just blow the molecules out, but they don't. They move randomly, whatever gas that's in the chamber, and they hit the spinning disc, and it's the momentum of it hitting the disc that pushes it down. It doesn't create a fan because the rotor can't spin up in anything other than a relatively high vacuum. Whereas a diffusion pump uses oil. That's the one I've got on mine. So you have a roughing pump to get down to a certain level, then you use a diffusion pump that uses hot oil, and it's the falling. The oil heats up and it goes upwards, and then it falls down and it drags molecules of gas. It's almost like a quantum level. Like it statistically pulls some through, and that's how it works. It's not. It's really hard to get your mind around mentally. So in answer to your question, I can't think of one off the top of my head. But I'd probably an XRF gun just because I think they're cool.
I feel like my soul just left my body. Just listening to that, I'm like, what?
I even turned it
Not
down.
your first language as well.
Yeah, I did not understand a single word, but very interesting, Jane. Thank you.
It's all right.
Vacuum and oil. That's
Vacuum oil molecules out of what?
I mean, if you want a real answer, I can tell you the list of things I have. I can look it up.
You've got it there, haven't you? Yeah.
Well,
Is
I've
it
got
just all in
nearby.
the saved searches in CDL?
No, they are auction alerts though, so I can tell you what they are. There's 32.
32.
Well, some of them are really generic. They're like blacksmith. Oh, an air graver. So like if you do engraving, they are like a little pneumatic hammer. So rather than tapping with a hammer on a chisel, to create patterns.
Okay.
Anyone who's seen
Those
Alex
are
Steele's
cool.
videos,
Yes.
they're really cool, but they're incredibly, like, looking at them, you think they're not going to be that expensive, but they are. They're thousands of pounds for like a compressor and a thing that moves back and forth. And I know that they're like, I say it like everyone at home is going, you can just make them out of like, you can adapt this cheap Chinese import version and it's almost as good. I'm like, oh wait, no one else is saying that except for one person. But
They have these how do you say that?
Pneumatic.
I
Don't
can't
say
say
the
that.
Don't say the P.
Pneumatic.
Yeah, there we go.
Chisel thingies for working with marble, like these days.
oh yeah,
Which is really cool. Like if you have a stone sculptor type of thing, and it's like it goes so fast. It's incredible. So
Can you imagine taking, one of the ancient world's sculptors and just sort of bringing them to modern day kind of tools and stuff, going, oh yeah,
put them in front of a 3D printer or what?
or even just that kind of thing of like, instead of just here's a hammer and a bolster, here's this new modern piece of technology instead. Have at it. You absolutely blow their mind.
Yeah, give something like that to Michelangelo and see what he would produce.
Yeah, but I mean that's the same with everything, right? If you are handwriting a letter and just putting it in front of a typewriter, it's like, here's a PC. You don't have to use a feather anymore.
It's like a quill, but there is a backspace. What's a backspace?
But this is where you start getting into almost into the AI art territory that people might go, oh well, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Even though every one of my artist friends who's looked at it, they've gone, God, that would be so useful for like trying to figure out what people are asking me for.
Yeah. God, I didn't even think of that. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Good application.
Because, and like in my mind, it's probably not going to get rid of artists. It'll get rid of the like, I want something generic just to fill a space on a piece of paper. Like I used Midjourney for my dissertation. I just wanted some nice background art that was royalty free, and I could put in an essay and not have to worry where I took it from. That kind of represented some vague ideas to do with a thing called the double diamond, which is a design framework. Like I wouldn't have paid. It seems almost worse to have paid someone a $5 on a website like that to do something, because you kind of belittle their artistic skill, and it's going to take them half an hour, even if they're using stock images
or Midjourney.
Some of the same buttons.
Yeah, but I think it'll create that, won't it? There'll be someone who is a prompt designer.
Yeah, this is already a thing.
Yeah.
There is a site already where you can sell prompts.
Wow.
So you can be a professional prompt designer.
God, what a world we live in.
It's good, isn't it?
Professional word assembler.
I think it's amazing. I think it's brilliant. People complaining that it's going to take over this and that, and maybe to an extent, in small parts, but
it'll change
birth
things.
a whole other skills and industries that
Yeah.
don't even exist yet. So it'll give and take, but I think it'll give more.
But
It's fun to play with
just
as well.
going back slightly to that idea of giving like a pneumatic chisel to Michelangelo. Yeah, you get it's that same sort of thing where you get people going in like woodwork Facebook groups going, oh, CNC, that's not proper woodworking.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, what if I use do I have to use a handsaw, or can I use an electric battery powered saw? It's like, and you think if you go back to kind of the Chippendale furniture makers, if you gave them kind of a CNC,
So the ones with the abs and stuff, and the skimpy
Yeah.
you
I
give
wonder why you needed oil for woodworking.
Yeah. They would if you gave them modern tools, they'd go, oh wow, we can save 30 hours in making these dovetailed drawers.
Yeah.
I still think there's a difference though between like computer, like CNC and 3D printing, and just having an electronic version of your tool. Like
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a different skill set involved, isn't there? If you're pulling a trigger and guiding a saw through a piece of wood, or if you're manually moving the saw through a piece of wood, that's different to
pushing a
3D
button and
modeling
having a
and-
machine doing it for you.
I mean, that's 3 different levels, isn't it? You know, I mean, actually using a hand saw well is not something that everyone can do. It's much easier to perhaps use something like a track saw or a table saw. I think that's more accessible to more people. But then it's the argument is it about the skills or is it about what's being produced? And does it actually matter?
And stuff like that really riles me up. Makes me so angry about people saying things like, "Oh, you know, there's no skill in operating a CNC machine. You just push the button."
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just saying it's different.
Some people do that.
Yeah, some people do, and it's different set of skills. Really, really
Absolutely,
different.
yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and that was exactly
Yeah.
my point, because if you have a track saw or something, or a handheld saw, that's like one category, and CNC is something completely different, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's not a replacement.
No, it's not a
such.
replacement.
It's just a different.
And the
tool.
same with
It is a tool.
with 3D printing, you still have to like sculpt the piece on the PC, right?
Yeah.
In order to get it printed. But if you're using a chisel by hand or using a pneumatic chisel, like that's just an advantage for
it's an
like
iteration on the
less
thing.
labor, right?
Yeah.
So it's just for making
Labor
your
saving, yeah.
making
it's different
life
skills
easier.
with different goals. I think if
exactly.
you want to, like, you might use a hand chisel if that's what you just enjoy doing. If you enjoy the process of making something by hand, and that's what you like, then that's what you do. I compared it to riding a horse and driving a car before. If you want to get from A to B as quickly as possible, you take the car. If you want to enjoy a journey and an experience, you ride the horse. It's just different. It's just not comparable.
I think people...
and people who say things like, "Oh well, it's easy, it's cheating," or whatever. I just think that's a little bit ignorant. It's not having a full understanding of what's going on. Well, you guys know me, and I love digital tools and seeing what I can do with them, and I think it's I think there's a you can do things that you can't do by hand, or I couldn't do by hand.
You look at physical limitations as well.
It's not always about like mass production or anything like that. Obviously, the digital tools make sense for that because there's lower labor involved at scale. But I get a lot of enjoyment out of wrangling the tool to get it to do what you want. Yeah.
I think it's that. I mean, that analogy you gave of the kind of horse and the car is just right. I mean, there are some people who enjoy going into their workshop and making a chest of drawers using nothing other than hand tools. Not a battery in sight, not a power tool in sight other than maybe the light above the head. And it may take them months to create a chest of drawers. And it will be handmade and it will be exquisite, and that's fantastic. But I think for a lot of people, kind of like that idea of, I want to do that because it's that process that's actually the thing that I'm most interested in, not necessarily the final product. But if I've got this final product that can go in the house and is a heritage piece that can last for decades and decades, fantastic. Then there are other people who kind of, I want to make furniture. I don't want to spend 15 hours cutting the dovetails for one drawer. I'd rather get a jig out and a router and cut all the dovetails, tidy them up with a chisel, and now I've got something. So I've got 5 drawers done in 15 hours. And reduce the time because I want to make a piece of furniture because it needs to fill a gap. And then there are people who kind of go, well, yeah, I don't have, as sort of Jamie said, I don't have maybe the physical strength or I don't like dust. And I can put everything in a box and I can have the air sucked out and
just sneeze.
everything can be nice and clean.
That's why we're laughing. We're laughing at my silent sneezing for the audio podcast listeners and Andy's choice of dust. Yes.
Well, I mean, to build on those analogies, meringue. You can make meringue by putting a load of physical labour in with a whisk, or you can stick the same eggs in a food processor, or you can go down the bloody shop and buy meringue.
I think digital fabrication is process decoupling. So if you are for a long time, if you wanted to make something, you're kind of you're carving something, you're designing it and creating it at the same time. With digital fabrication, you design it, you decide how, like the design of the manufacturer, and then you manufacture it. They're separate bits. So it's really nice if you're busy, you can be like, oh, I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to model this thing, or I'm going to create some toolpaths, or I'm going to change my design. It's I can't think of you don't 3D print or machine on the fly, like you don't make changes while it's happening. Whereas if you're cutting tenons, you might go, oh, actually, I realized I kind of messed up that last one. I'm going to have to change the design for it. I think that's the difference, isn't it? That with this thing, you decouple versus a power chisel for carving. You just speed up that same process.
Well, I think the other thing with a lot of that is it doesn't necessarily have to be the same people in the same place either. Said about that a person can do the design and then 3D print and then finish or whatever. But we've mutual friends of ours who could absolutely make a thing, but there is already a particular thing out there that's already on the internet. Someone else has done the modeling for. They can find the link, send that to me or Duncan. We can print it out, stick it in the post to them, and then they can incorporate that into their work. It's saved them a job. It's a fairly common thing that we see quite often.
Dale from Maple Tree Studios made, I think, a good point as well. CNC is to woodworking what the typewriter is to handwriting. It doesn't stifle creativity, just makes it more repeatable.
It does make it more repeatable, but I think it does more than that.
I think it opens up opportunities.
If you're going from, say you're starting with hand tools and you're talking about handheld chisels, and you want to chisel out a trough, a rebate in something, and you're doing it with a hammer and chisel, which is probably the most basic way you can do it, and it's going to be uneven, maybe, depending on your skill level, or if you've been doing it for 15 years, it's going to be a bit flatter and square, and angles will all be right. And then you're moving to maybe a router plane, which has a blade specifically for that kind of job. It might have guides on it. Are the guides cheating, or is it just a different skill? And then perhaps you're moving on to an electrical router is the next step. And again, is that cheating, or is it you've got to control this thing now? This thing wants to fly off the piece of wood. You've got to control it in a different way. Maybe you've got to build jigs for it. And then you've got a router table, which takes some more of the load off you. It helps you align the piece, keep it straight. And then you're probably bumping up then to a CNC router table, which just takes the control of the cutting off of your hands. So they're all tools. They're all just incremental steps to achieve the same thing. And to me, the repeatability, I have no interest in making the same thing over and over again. I have an interest in using a tool to do things that I can't do. So like the guy with the router plane might be great, but the next generation along that have got the electric router might not be able to use the router plane very well because it's just not what they're used to. So they buy the electric router and use that because they're using the tool to do a thing that perhaps they can't or don't have the time to learn, or whatever the reason. It's just a tool. It's just another tool. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say the long way around.
If you think of why did dovetails become a thing? Like, they are not the most efficient way to join things together. It showed the craftsman and skill, or the skill of a craftsman. So in a way, yes, it is cheating using a dovetail bit to cut dovetails when you're saying that it's a demonstration of skill. But and I think that's where the people who say, oh, well, that is cheating. It's cheating in the way that you're pretending you're more skillful than you aren't. But I don't think anyone who uses these tools is trying to pretend they're any more skillful. They're just saying, well, I've created the same thing.
Yeah.
Or a very close analogy.
If you're
it would only be
marketing it as handmade and this beautiful thing that I've done, then you deserve some grief for that. But I don't know that there's anyone doing that, really. Same with the Dali and this generative art. If you try and sell that art and say, look at this glorious painting I've done.
Here's my limited edition print run of my original oil painting. That's where, and I think as the kind of that technology evolves, there'll be more ground rules. Already, I feel a bit uncomfortable doing anything that involves people, like lookalikes. It's very easy to put in a celebrity name and something, but it's just trying to find out the kind of the code, for don't be a dick for this technology. Like, don't be a dick for doing dovetails. Is don't pretend that you've cut them by hand when you've done it with a router. No one's ever going to go, oh wow, like, I'm so glad that these are hand cut, unless you are the sort of person that could tell anyway.
Yeah, they're too precise.
Yeah. And a lot of if you think of like antiques, people go, oh, isn't it so nice? You can see the handcraftedness of it. It's not the perfection of the dovetails. You can see, oh, they're all slightly different sizes.
Yeah, because they were being mass produced.
Yeah.
But at a slower rate than we mass produce things nowadays.
Or in carvings, you can say, oh, you can see the chisel marks. You can see how they rounded this over, but they made it look like something else. They worked within the limitations of the tool they had. And it's celebrated for that. Like, if you want to take a photo, go and buy a digital camera. But why have I got a load of analog film cameras? Because I like the imperfection. I like, and you can say, well, actually, when you then take the film and you scan it into a computer, you should make sure there's no dust on it at all. That's just another part of the process. Yeah.
That's the enjoying the process and the experience part, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's filters, like analog filters, for a reason. So you're adding the grain and the dust after you took a perfectly crisp picture.
I was just going to say, if you're not making your own wet glass, then are you really a photographer?
No, and it pains me every day. Thanks for the reminder. I was even looking today at Chroma Camera's wet plate photography holders, but fine. You've called me out twice now.
That's on the list, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Wet plate colloidin, but I've already got the stuff. I just need to learn how to do it.
Does not surprise me. But I was going to say, in the great philosophers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, that true perfection has to be imperfect.
Yeah. And after all, the other things I said. I'll let you fill it out.
I said maybe.
Are we going to do introductions now?
Can do.
Right, he's Duncan.
Hi.
He goes by Little Hobby Shop.
Very
I think
good.
is the best place to find you online.
For now.
I would say I go to Duncan for I'm deciding that this is how we're going to do it. By the way,
Okay.
Feel
Just
free
each
to-
introduce-
You're setting the template now. Yeah,
Yeah, I just, we all know each other. We've all been
It's like
friends
the
for
game.
a long
Yeah.
time.
I like
And
this.
I suspect most people who are listening know who we are. But I always think it's interesting to know, like, what do people think you are in the maker community?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah. So,
Like this.
well, don't we have a phrase like, Duncaning something? Which is
Apparently.
Very much
making
so.
something.
I just want to make it clear that I did not initiate this.
No, this is all. This is
No,
all
I think
us
it
saying-
was one of us. I think. Yeah.
It's because you'll have a pause when you're saying something or trying to describe how you did it, and Jamie will say, "You Duncan did."
Yeah.
That's normally how it
There is
comes
a
about.
there is a Martian-related Matt Damon meme knocking about with my name on it, dunking the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, that stems from my Jamieing things and you Duncaning things. From us, trying to help friends out in 3D printing stuff, and my kind of cavalier approach to just wing it, and while it's printing, just do a bit of this, and you're taking a much more measured, deliberate engineering approach to doing it
hurts
properly.
my brain.
Yeah.
The Jamie
Just hit
approach.
it with
Just
hammer.
try all
Yeah.
the things at once.
Like, no, let's think about this.
If you change
One thing
15
at a
variables and
time.
it works, it still works.
Yeah, maybe like it's always hard to distill someone down, isn't it, to like one thing. But maybe the reason I would like maybe ask you for advice is like I've got this complex system that I want to try and figure out, or like I want to design something to run, like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like the control panels and things you built to go like, oh well, this, like these things exist within the world and I've synthesized them together. And I think you're very good at that anyway. You're very good at piecing parts of the world together to make something greater than some of the parts. That
Okay.
almost sounded really nice.
I get it.
And then I messed up the end of it and it sounded... Yeah.
That's
I would
fine.
always-
I like it.
I would always ask Duncan if something's like really high up in the shelf and I can't reach it.
But the irony being that in all of the pictures that we've got on screen, Duncan looks like he's sat the lowest down as well.
Yeah.
Just extend the neck.
But you've done stuff with generative art and Jesmonite and 3D printing and making
Lasers.
machines, lasers. Yeah.
Niche case nerdery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like toying with things if I can get my hands on them. Just glad I haven't got a power hammer.
Yeah, don't
Brazil
get
nuts
your
all year
hands
round.
under those.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, so anyone who's, because it's so easy, isn't it, to not think about going to follow someone on Instagram. Yeah, you might go, oh yeah, I've heard of them. So if that's the sort of thing you go, God, that sounds like something I'd like to appear more in my feed. Go and follow at Little Hobby Shop.
Yes. Nerdy, weird stuff. Hopefully. I guess it's my turn then. Who am I doing? I'm doing our other guest, Caro. I'll do Caro.
Yeah. Guests will introduce each other. That makes life easier.
Yeah.
Caro is known as Prop Shop Berlin
No, you said it right.
everywhere. Not
that's 'cause we know
Berlin's
you.
Prop Shop. James is demoing. Caro makes weird things. Just like weird stuff. Body parts, animals, low poly horses. Yeah, if you can think of it, then Caro can probably make it. I would go to Caro for all sorts.
Yeah.
Caro does all the things. I
How do I make
recently had tips on casting from Caro, silicon casting in particular. Yes,
So I'd say
very
Caro-
talented maker of all things.
Because I said, Duncan, you're like, if you think of like a prototype, Duncan, you're probably be really good at a works like prototype. Caro would be like if I needed a prototype, I would assign works like prototype to you, Duncan, and looks like to Kara.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I could say, I wanted to look like a steel I-beam.
I could do the I-beam, but it would look like
Yeah.
shit.
But
Yeah.
then I'd say, I want to be able to lift it up, and Kara would be like, well, like, why are you doing that out of papier-mâché? Like, just do it out of, I don't know, foam core or something. Like, I think that's like one of your secret skills.
I would say as well, Kara's got a very, very, very unique set of very niche knowledge on stuff that nobody else has done or worked with or worked on. So, things like, how do you make an eyeball look like an eyeball but not actually be one? It's those kind of if there's some
It's very
really,
easy.
really...
I can show you.
But exactly that.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got this really obscure problem.
Yeah.
Is it technical? Ask Duncan. Is it visual? Is it material based? Is it some sort of weird sculptural thing? Ask Kara.
And the good part about that is that Duncan and I actually worked together recently. So he helped me out, like developing a pattern, like the 3D pattern for something. And it was just about getting the shape right. And he had the right program for designing it and could print me like a 2D pattern that I could turn into a 3D object then in various sizes. So
Duncan the shit out of it, and then you carried the shit out of it.
Yeah. I'm still
Good work.
carrying the shit out of it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I was just thinking it'd be great to see you two work on a project together.
I just had automatons jump into my head.
Yeah.
Like I would do
Definitely.
the mechanics and the movement, and it would look like mechanical things moving.
Yeah.
And then Kara would make it look like whatever
Something
it's supposed
you'd
to
wanna
look
look at.
like. That
I mean
is
that's like
mechanical
one
things.
thing I'm really interested in is like all these like the mechanics you have in like the robot kind of I'm missing the word now. It's not the practical per se. It's if you have a robotic interior of like a SFX dummy or something that moves. Like think of a
armatures, like robotic armature.
Animatronic
Yeah.
type.
animatronic. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry, my brain. Yeah, I'm totally fascinated by that, but I have no clue about anything electronic. So everything needs to be mechanical and like not connected to any wires. So that would be like a really, really great combination, because I know a lot of people who actually have the skill and do develop their own like 3D print like interior skulls and armatures and stuff like that for their animatronics. So they have both the exterior and the interior covered, and that's like it's really good. But it takes a lot of time for me to get into that, and I can't be bothered.
That's why we have a Duncan.
Yeah, but he's so far away.
Like Power Rangers. You just combine into this awesome makeup.
And then we need Dr. Malty for everything else, I guess.
For everything else, there's Dr. Multi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how to describe you, because it's so much.
Why do you think I opted not to describe myself? It was easier to pick anyone else.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've sometimes, like in this round, I feel like you and me are like Pinky and Brain, and I'm definitely not the brain in this group, right? I'm just sitting here like following instructions and like, okay, yeah, I do that. Yeah, let him talk. I don't understand a single word of what he's saying, but it probably
Kara,
makes sense.
can you just say the phrase, so what are we going to do tonight, Multi?
Take over the world, or what's the
Same
English?
thing yeah, the same.
You know
thing
what
we
the
do
English
every
phrase
week.
for that is. Yeah. Exactly. So you have so much knowledge that it's unfair, I would say, in very niche fields. But also very useful fields, like medical, in a medical sense, I guess. And
Brewing.
I find it really interesting that you're just so interested in all of that, and you like soak up all the knowledge like a sponge, and you can keep it in your brain. Because I am like the exact opposite. I'm interested in a lot of things, but as soon as I've read them, I forget them, right? So
I think that's his greatest superpower, isn't it? It's
yeah.
the absorbing it and then being able to recall it later.
Plus
Yeah.
being extremely nice.
That's just for
There,
YouTube, though.
I said it.
Just for YouTube.
So
Is it fair to call you the sort of maker hipster?
Yeah. I mean, I think I ticked. most
don't
of the
do that.
boxes. I made a copper coffee pipe for like the Bripe, purely because I thought it was a funny thing, and I thought, oh, I should own one of those.
But it was the fact
need
that
to be
you were able to just source all of the hipster type props to go with the narrative for that video. That's fresh in my mind because I was showing someone the other day. But it was just, it's like, what would be really good to add to the hipster aesthetic? I'll just fire up the printer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yes, this 1.5 ton of decorative cast iron. Let's just get that moving in the background.
Yeah, I think if anyone hasn't figured out yet that we are all very close friends who chat quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, considering the platinum story, I can't think how many people I've told that to, and it's maybe only just more than 4. It's not the sort of thing you freely admit to, like, oh yeah, I accidentally exploded a lot of expensive stuff into such small pieces.
I think I remember where I heard that, and it was actually on here.
Oh, was it? Oh, maybe I
But
have
you
told
weren't
them.
the guest. You weren't the
Good,
guest.
Good.
And you put it in the chat,
please.
and you said, you didn't say platinum, you said white gold. And the
Yeah,
only reason I remember this is because I came up with just a witty reply that I was just so chuffing myself for. You said something along the lines of, "Oh, I managed to explode 10 grams of white gold all over my workshop," and I said something like, "I've never heard it called white gold before." That's why I remember. That's where I learned that story from. I'll probably never forget that now.
Yeah.
The same can probably be said for some of our audience.
Yeah. Oh well, an
Etched.
unrelated. Yeah. So you said that Kara's at Prop Shop Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got it the right way around.
Where can people find you then, Multi?
At Malt and Make, which is annoyingly hard to say, and it sounds like molten make, which would be very fitting considering liquid metal exploding everywhere. That wasn't the intention, though. Hey guys, today we're going to be flinging liquid aluminium all over the workshop.
Coming up after these messages.
Yeah.
NordVPN.
Yeah.
Who are paying
originally-
us, by the way? Yeah.
Yeah. My original idea was that I brew beer and make things. I was like, oh, well, brewing beer is sufficiently different that it'll set me apart from something else and make. And now I'm just glad that it's at least I've got a name. That's the worst bit of trying to start makery things is describe yourself.
And I don't think brew and make would be any better than malt and make, to be fair, in terms of saying it quickly.
Brew and make.
Don't forget your second channel.
Oh yeah, my wanky photography one. Well, it's
On point.
So it's analog photography, and I thought like the only people who do, like, the vast majority of like analog photography accounts are like, here's my arty photo, or here's my like lo-fi beats YouTube video, and so I went for like, I've got to have a suitably stupid name, so I thought Hype Mundane, because I really wanted Hyper Mundane, but that was already taken. There was already hypermundane.com, and it's something else, and I thought, well, what's even worse than that? Hype Mundane.
Well, it's just basically good bad, isn't it? Or good average.
Yeah, but I liked the idea that like it's all about celebrating something that's not particularly interesting, like the nice photos that you look at. It's not like, isn't that interesting content? It's just, it's really visually pleasing, and I like the look of it. It's the, why are you filming plastic bags circling around in the wind off of American
I got one of the like best compliments last week during the on set on the film set that I went to.
Oh yeah.
Because I was working on this like dummy, like a human dummy for a couple of weeks. So I had to bring him on set to Romania. And I was also hired to like head of department of the whole like art department thing, right? And the DOP, so the actual videographer at some point. I don't know, he really nice guy. I really, really dig him. He has a total dry sense of humor, but it's a pleasure to work with him. It's at one point he was like, we were sitting in the car, and he was like, yeah. How much was this dummy that you had made? And I was like, oh, I can't remember actually what I put on the invoice or something. And I was like, yeah, wait, did you order it? I'm like, no, I made it. Like, what, you made it? And he was giving me all the compliments before, right? And I was like, yeah, I made this. And you could see that he was like struggling to find words because he was so, I don't know.
Nice.
He probably wouldn't have admitted that it was good if he would have known that I made it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a compliment when he didn't realize it was you first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't realize. And then because he was a really empathetic guy, and like 2 days later he was like, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you made that. I'm like, yeah, it's all right, it's no problem.
It's clearly been sat churning away for the.
Yeah, I've not only been hired as the idiot on set. I actually did have my part in this.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't, but to this degree, I did.
They didn't know that.
Yeah,
they did. It was one of the like we've been talking about imposter syndrome for like several times, right? And this time I actually got called out as an imposter, so it was quite a harsh experience, but I learned a lot. And
how would you deal with something like that, though? If you know it's a job you've not done before, and then someone says, "Oh, you've not done this before," because it's technically true in that instance, but you're trying to step up to learn how to do that.
Well, I mean, the issue was that the director knew before that I was inexperienced, right? And he decided to hire me for that. And I mean, there were so many things going wrong that were out of my control, which they admitted to at last, right? But in the end, I don't think it was my fault because everyone knew. I wasn't like trying to pretend something that I wasn't. But maybe they thought I would have had more experience. It's okay. It's over now.
But they brought you in not because they didn't go, oh well, yeah, there's literally it's not like they're the last person and like, oh well, who have we got randomly? It's like, no, we specifically wanted you, and they knew your skill set. It's not like, oh, who's this randomer? Oh, let's get her in. Yeah, that'll do. Next person. They've thought, oh well, we like what you do and we like what you could bring to our thing. Yes, you might not be, the world's greatest art director or head of art department, but we know that what we want from this role is something you can do.
Yeah, but I think they expected me to. I don't know how deep I want to go into that, because in the end, I know what I did wrong and how I could have handled it differently to a certain extent. But we also agreed from the beginning that we would have a local, like, art director on set, and he was a complete failure. So in the end, I was all by myself, right? I didn't have any help from that side, which I relied on, and which I communicated from the beginning. Especially in a country where you don't speak the language, and even if everyone's like communicating in English, things just get lost on the way, right? And
course, yeah.
so many things went wrong. It's like I don't even know where to start. And in the end, of course, I felt miserable because it was my responsibility, right? But I think, at least from the German side, in retrospective, they kind of know now that it was not all my fault.
I think that's a very important distinction for them to make, though, isn't it? Is realizing the culpability. You know, it's if they're going to give, kind of an expectation at the outset, and then not live up to that, you can't really fulfill your job then if you don't have the tools there to do it. You know, if they understand their role in that, then at least takes the pressure off slightly.
Yeah, and in the end, there were so many different sides to it that went wrong, and one of them was also that I felt like I wasn't taken seriously enough because I'm a woman, which is quite weird, because there was things where I said like 3 times that we make it like this, and they weren't following what I was saying, and then the producer had to come in, and then he was saying it like for the 4th time, and suddenly everything worked out. I'm like, okay, I guess just that's how it is, right?
I wonder if would that same sort of thing have happened in Germany, for instance, or do you reckon that would be, maybe
no. I think no, it would have, in Germany it would have been handled completely different, because there, I know what's available here, and in terms of like what we can achieve and what we can build, and like where to get materials from, yada yada. So it was just a lot for this short amount of time as well. And I mean, I have to admit, like, what day, because I usually work more in like advertisement or like real length movies or series or something, and you have a lot more prep time and a lot more filming time for that. So everything's very structured, and you have to follow the time frame that they give you. And in this case, it was very like, we are all creatives. Let's be spontaneous.
They're often known for their organizational skills.
Let's cram as much as we can into 2 filming days. And I shit you not, if you would see what we did in those 2 days, you could have stretched that easily into a week. It's like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I just hope it was worth it.
Is there a final product yet that you've seen, or is this obviously still like a secret
no,
project?
it will come out in October 14th, if they can make it. So not even 2 weeks. Yeah.
I like that both Duncan and I did the same synchronized head movement at the bottom right-hand corner of our screen to figure out what the date was today.
Yeah.
Yeah, not long.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's incredibly brave. When it comes to like stuff that I do on my own, I've got no problem trying stuff that I've not done before. No problem at all. But when it comes to like professional work, I am terrified of even applying for jobs where I don't think I fit every single requirement. So credit.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I feel like the next thing that I'm doing, where you helped me with the pattern, right? So we were making a stage full of various cacti. And the fun thing about this project is that I've been working with this theater for like over 10 years now, and they trust me so much that they're basically giving me all their budget, and I can shift it freely. They say like, okay, we have this amount of money, can you do it for that? And I have to calculate like the materials and the labor and everything on my own, and they're trusting me with that, and it's really nice because I know that I can do that, right?
Yeah, having your own self-confidence in something is a separate thing to someone else having complete confidence in you. I think that's a demonstration of that, I think.
Yeah, it all comes down to communication in the end, as always.
It doesn't everything.
Yeah, and a lot about what are people's expectations? What do they think is going to happen? I think expectation management is a huge part of almost everyone's job. Probably carry more yours than probably more yours than anyone's. Particularly if you're making someone for something else. What do they want, and can they communicate that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but expectation management is sometimes, obviously, there's a backside to that where people have unrealistic expectations, which are then impossible to manage from the side of kind of going, oh, they want that and this. Yeah, it's a bit like the sort of the three segments of you can have it quick, you can have it cheap, we can have it good. You can't have all three. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of the problems in the during those very intense days, that I had to be the person telling them all the time, that's not possible. That's not possible. Sorry, we can't do that anymore. That's not possible. So in the end, they were pretty annoyed by me constantly telling them that something's not possible because we are all creative and fun, right? Like, yeah, but that's not that's not exactly my job. It's great that you're having new ideas every 5 minutes, but it's not how it's working, right? So.
You can't fit a 12-hour build into the next 20 minutes before we need to do the next film.
Yeah, and I mean, I had different expectations as well. I didn't think that I would be, I don't know, standing in the middle of Bucharest at 2:00 at night, gluing on pink flowers to a van.
See, and that is the kind of phrase that we could only hear from you, Kara.
Yeah, but it's like that's not my job. That's what we have people there whose job is to produce these kind of things, right? If I go in there as an art director or production designer or however you may call it, you're the one delegating.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be the one like picking up the tools and actually doing it because they are not capable.
Well, that's the main distinction between kind of leadership and management, isn't it? Whether you actively take a role in being a part of the completed project, or if you are entirely hands off and purely delegation. I suppose in that sense you were leading the team rather than managing it. I suppose if you didn't have that ability to manage the team because they let you down, but the project's still completing.
That's the issue. Yeah. I mean, in the end, I wanted to, like, I don't know, put every screw in myself, because then I know it would have been done right. If you just have a bunch of complete idiots there, it's like, Although I have to say the prop master was very capable. I have never seen anyone wiring LEDs and electronics so fast as he did. That was insane. He was very good.
I guess that's a lot of leadership, isn't it? It's finding those people who you can rely on and say, look, clearly you are good at this. And a lot of, even if you think, oh, that's what I'm good at too. Yeah, probably not the case in this situation where no one was particularly good at many things. But it's then saying, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to be the person doing what I normally do. And if anyone's, if I always think of like the times that we meet up and we make something, I think, oh, well, what am I good at? You think, oh, well, they're already doing that and they're good at that. It feels so difficult, doesn't it, to find your place when you don't have that, especially as lots of makers, we don't have one thing that you're good at. It's hard to think of like, oh, what can I contribute?
I think you and I
in that scenario, I'm usually the one like taking a step back and letting the others have the fun, so to say, because I don't know.
I think that was something that James and I particularly struggled with when we were at Kjells earlier in the year. The kind of the main jobs that we were getting done were things that other people were much more skilled at than we were. We were great at sort of handling the tools or things like that, because it was something where we could kind of take a step back and say you do the thing that you are better than me at. We could.
Well, I will say that James did a fantastic job of feeding everyone. It's a very important job.
Keeping us all alive, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was something to enjoy as well. It wasn't just practical. Here it's bread and water. It was tasty stuff.
Yeah.
Every shop I walk into now, I try and find those bloody padron peppers.
Oh yeah.
I've not found them anywhere.
Do you remember I said that 1 in 10 of them are spicy? It's
Yes.
not that one. It's a different Japanese pepper. Again, really irrelevant knowledge, but I thought padron peppers were the ones that 1 in 10 were spicy. I think it's shishito peppers, maybe, but I think it's
that was what I found as well from
trying
to find padron peppers. That was the ones that were close, and there was
So
itchy two facts about everything.
Yeah, I know. That's my theory of sounding smart is if you can say if you know 2 facts about everything, then you're covered. Listen to episode 8 or whatever it was that I was on.
44.
More detail. Thank you, Andy. As you can tell, that's not my fact about Maker's Waffle.
So, what's your second fact about that fact of knowing 2 facts makes you sound smart?
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of one other than it's actually well covered in episode 44 of Maker's Waffle, but that's only because I've just found out, and it doesn't make me sound smart. It just sounds like I parroted Andy's information back.
That's all right. We'll get him to cut that bit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my extensive edit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which stopped 68 episodes ago.
67, I think. Yeah, 67. Yeah, it was Kel's episode that made me stop.
Poor sod, we'll give him a complex name.
Is it too early? Is it too early for kind of like a year look back at the year? What are you looking forward to, kind of thing? I feel like the winter is approaching so fast.
Apparently, it's going to be October soon.
It is October already.
Yeah, exactly. Not looking forward to 2022. I think that's going to be fast-paced.
Although you never know, there might be a Maker Central that year.
It might be.
Very true.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
What would you like? What would you like to see at Maker Central if it happens again?
All the
me turning
people.
up- Me turning up.
People, yeah.
That's my one.
Yeah, you turning up would be a good start, James.
Yeah. Not getting unwell beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would I like to? I would like to see a collection of discount XRF guns that people have brought in.
But only purchasable by people registered as medical professionals
Yeah. For
at a
safety.
huge discounted rate. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't the vintage tool shop do that? I don't know.
Which one? There's always about 15 at Maker Central. Isn't there?
Yeah.
Apart from seeing you lot, obviously, I would like to see more diversity.
I think Eric's just said exactly the same thing.
Yes, yeah, I would just catch you up there. Yeah, well said, Eric.
I felt
Yeah.
it got better though.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel it got better. Yeah, but more diversity of making. I know you can't fit everything into one show, but at least try.
I don't know. I felt it was plenty of everything this year. It's always too much to look at everything, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, to look at everything and then remember and take it in, and yeah.
I would love to have a Maker Central, but outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like with the kind of comparison to something like Maker for Hanover, where you had lots and lots of really techie nerdy stuff, and then some people hitting stuff and making noise, making a mess outside. I think that kind of thing would work quite well to have that kind of segmenting things up a little bit more, maybe, have more of a techie nerdy space and more of a woodworking space and then more of a kind of resin and pretty things space, and kind of
Just mix it all together. Mix it all up.
No, Crystal knows
Yeah.
it. Aztec
Yeah.
space.
Robot Wars in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh God, no!
outside too.
Robot Wars
Outside.
in a different room, in a different country. Thank you.
Yes.
Not that we like. It's nothing against robot wars themselves. It's more the noise
No.
pollution.
Yeah.
No, if they had
Yeah.
them like on a table with the covers taken off and you can see inside and talk about how they work, and yes, fascinating.
Or the add-to-weight ones.
But I just
Tiny
don't want to
little
be
ones.
Oh,
deafened.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the key, isn't it? Is perhaps live stream them from another hall would work great, so that you could attenuate the noise slightly.
Yeah, Albert Hall.
But I feel like I don't know, the whole Maker Central. I don't want to talk about like half a year about what's coming to Maker Central next and what was so great about last Maker Central. I mean, there's so much more going on in the world and in your life, hopefully, than those 2 days a year. So, is there anything exciting you're looking forward to, or
More travel
that you want to
hopefully,
talk about? Or
Yeah, well, I mean, it was that young man down there, Duncan, who kind of gently nudged me into getting my ass into gear and getting my passport. It was the kick up the ass that I needed to get it done, and that's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's something that we've been on some trips and stuff. And yeah, I think that's what I'm hoping for. It's more travel, more seeing friends, more getting away from the desk. It's been my life for far too long.
do you have some actual like family holidays planned, maybe? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's we still need to get their passports sorted and stuff as well, but we've got stuff planned for around the UK and things, and plans to get theirs sorted. Yeah, just that kind of more going and doing stuff rather than just not doing. That's
Or
what
being
I'm
forced to not do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bit of extra flexibility, I think.
Yes. I'd very much like some more of the same. And a new job. Or not a job at all. That would be even better.
Even more flexibility.
If that was an option, that would be great.
A lottery win or a
Yeah, that would do something. But yeah,
a sugar parent.
I would be on board with that.
Looking forward to a possible career change. Maybe trying. It's harder than it sounds. So
it does sound very hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially like these days where everything has to be safe and secure, right? So you're not giving up your job lightheartedly.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I'd really love to like just turn up tomorrow and go, bye, I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something far more fun, but it's not as easy as that, unfortunately. Yeah, I want to travel for work less and travel for me more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a big long list of projects that I feel that now I've finished my masters is achievable. Because I think I'm brilliant at creating ideas when I'm procrastinating for something else. So I know that I need to do big, long projects where I don't really want to finish them. Because I don't get a huge amount of joy out of finishing projects. I love starting projects. It's so much more fun. And then when something's done, it's really underwhelming. I know the Fools of Tools boys talked about it. Some people are starters. They love that. Some people are finishers. They really enjoy the satisfaction. I love the buzz of new projects. And so I'm really looking forward to having done a big, long project to be doing something a little bit newer and a bit more, quick project. Even if it's some simple things for work, learning some JavaScript maybe to do some automating a couple of the things at work that could be made a little bit better, through to bigger builds, laser cutter build, be nice. So yeah, that's my semi-immediate term hope. Making things. Plus 50 other things, but I've already brought out one of my lists. I'm not going to bring out another one on the podcast.
Finishing one of your lists. That'd be on your list.
Technically, it's a database, but
Bloody hell.
One of those XLS files.
It's an Airtable for each project. Except for the mind, like the brain stuff, that's all I've done on Miro boards. But if anyone really wants me to talk about that, then you've probably got bigger problems than I do.
I'd say you can add XRF gun to the project list. Actually, make one. Don't bother trying to buy one. Make one.
I mean, I have thought about like fiddling around with X-ray tubes, but I think radiation is scary enough. I mean, like some of the lenses I've got are technically they've got thoriated glass in, which is slightly radioactive. Things that I can't see that can do damage to me scare me appropriately.
Says the man building a massive laser.
The laser itself is not massive. Just the work area is massive.
Okay.
And I'm more assembling it. I'm not really building it.
This is getting
It's
back
the
to
same
IKEA
thing,
furniture versus
technicalities.
handcrafted.
Not like a Lego laser or what?
Well, I've had to make a CAD model for it. So.
Lego laser. It's a good idea.
So what are you looking forward to, Kara?
Yeah.
Well, it's I don't know. It's a bit of a weird time, anyways, right? So, with the constant news and uncertainty of what's going on, and I mean, I don't want to like sugarcoat it by saying like, "Oh yeah, it's all going to be fine," and blah blah blah. We're feeling it, and we're feeling the change every day. So it's very hard to I think no one really knows how to handle it properly or how to react to it properly. We're all just, I don't know, trying to live our life to our best ability, right? So
I think that's all you can do, really.
yeah, but I don't know, you couldn't still be aware of what's happening, and I don't know. I would love to I would love to have a warm home. Not to start with that again. No, but it's weird to feel it to that extent already, right? So I think we weren't on live when we talked about that, but I still only have a coal oven at home for heating my apartment, and you can't buy coal anywhere in Germany at the moment. So because I was busy all summer, I wasn't able to order them like during the summer, and now it's like, okay, like the basement is empty. I'm not able to get a fire going, which is weird, but I'm kind of used to it as well, so it's okay. I don't know. I would love to finally go on a long trip abroad, like maybe Asia or Mexico or something, to escape the Berlin grayness in January, February, if possible. Because it's difficult for me to work then anyways. Because
Of course, yeah.
the workshop is fucking cold and I can't heat that as well. So I
remember
either
the
have
struggles
to
last year with that, with all the
yeah, it's
Peru's
every
and
year
Netherlands
it's the same, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore, but it's a fact, and I need to either look for another. I could ask like my former employee if they have something for me for a couple of weeks and go work there, or maybe movie production also if they have something. But yeah, I would love to just go away for, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something. That would be great.
That sounds like a good thing to aim for, I think.
Yeah. If it's affordable, I mean, it's everything gets more expensive, right? So flying anywhere is super expensive.
Yeah,
and-
flights are particularly expensive, isn't there? In certain parts of the world are very cheap to spend time in. But getting to those parts of the world is expensive.
Yeah. Let's see.
What about you, Andy? What are you looking forward to?
I don't know. Make a central.
Hopefully some good guests on Maker's Waffle as well.
Oh, we've got some good guests. Yeah.
Why start now?
Yeah.
Future good guests, not current good guests.
We've got some good guests lined up for the next. We've got a quick little look. Yeah, I think we're booked up for the next.
If you're going down this path, you're going to have to mention names now.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Clues.
The makers.
Yeah, makers.
Can we get some variety on the future
We've got
episodes then?
we've got 3 different nationalities in the next 3 weeks. There we go. There's a clue. Yeah.
So one from Scotland, one from Wales, and one from Ireland.
Well, we've always got one guy from
No.
Wales on ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, one from the UK, one from America, and one from Europe, continental Europe.
Ooh.
Well
So you
dodged
said-
then,
We'll
Andy.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said
Yeah.
Europe, so that means that it was specific enough that we could probably have guessed who they were based on where they live. Maybe.
Potentially.
I don't reckon you would. I don't reckon
Agreed.
you would be able to guess who they are.
Is it the person that was supposed to come on tonight?
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming they're well enough. Yeah.
In fairness, we were kind of lamenting the fact that, because obviously we've we've tended to keep it every sort of 10 episodes. We've had a group chat, so to be able to actually have a group chat on our kind of
Platinum anniversary.
platinum anniversary
Thanks for
with
the
our
reminder.
friends as well.
Not white gold.
Two groups.
I see none of you got the reference the first time I made that. So I thought
White gold anniversary.
I'd point it out. Someone in their car got it. Well done, you. I like
Someone in their car.
Good luck getting out the ditch.
Yeah. I love the idea that sometimes somewhere in the future someone is in their car and I have made a nice little future reference for them. I don't know why I enjoy it so much. I do.
It's a nice
one of
fantasy
those-
to have. Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, if they get in touch with you and it's been at least 2 months from today, you know, do they get a pat on the back or something like that?
They can have a sticker. Why not? I haven't done a sticker swap in a while. You can have a free sticker. And I'll write on the back, well done, you.
And a cable wrap.
Yeah, you can have a cable wrap.
Cable wraps are
You have
good.
there you go. If anyone
thought
got
I had
that
one
reference
here.
beforehand,
I've got one.
send me a message on Instagram and you can have a branded molten make cable wrap.
It's so random. It's brilliant.
There you go.
I just love that. That's such a typical James thing to do as well. Of like, I would like to get myself one branded cable wrap. Sod it, I'll order how many hundred.
They're so convenient. I mean,
100.
can't blame
I
her.
wonder what machine I need to make my own.
So it's either.
You already know. Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
one of them is on
Surely
there,
you could
but
laser cut Velcro.
You can probably, but then so you can use heat press for the so I could do the transfer, but I'd really want to cut them out with a clicker press, and currently the clicker presses that I've seen are too expensive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you'd need to be able to make a die for it.
He's got a TIG welder.
Oh, well, actually, the thing to make cutout dies, Tyler Bell has one. He's got the anyone who saw his video where he had a thing where he bent steel for something. I can't even remember what he was using it for, but he repurposed it into something else. It's like a little lever operated thing that pushes two like prongs together, and he used it and it's meant to curve steel rule for dies. That's what they're originally designed for. The modern ones are CNC, which is of course cheating. But that's what I'd like to. Yeah. Sorry, we were asking you about something, weren't we? Before I made a future shout out.
I've lost track.
Yeah, the last sort of point
people
before that
comment
was
on
just the new guest, or the next few guests being multinational, not multi-international, multinational.
Multi.
He's already on tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that we see each other before Maker Central and after Maker Central, and not in the context of Maker Central, because it's always very stressful. So more of like Kjell Camp or
Yes.
Carol Camp or Multi Camp or
Just anyone who fancies getting a kind of smaller than Maker Central, a small group of people together.
Yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't have to be a big thing.
This seems to be a recurring theme on the show. We've had this discussion a couple weeks ago with Dan Dandles, which was rather extensive,
someone
actually.
needs to just do it.
Yeah.
Well, my garden is always open for you guys. There's plenty
will
of
be there.
space.
Lovely. We'll wait for the spring.
That would be the better choice.
Yeah. We
can make a
lump
big
of
fire
coal.
there.
Actually, I think I may possibly have found a place that might be suitable, but I need to contact them. My youngest is in Explorer Scouts, and last week we had a message saying that not next week, week after next, they've got a climbing event going on at a centre just to the north of Maidstone, so very close to the M20, which was like, okay, she's not going just because of the particular day that it's on, and it's not a day that is going to be possible for her to go. And I was looking at, but I kind of, when this sort of email arrived, it was like, okay, it's such and such a place. I was like, I don't know where this such and such a place is, but I looked it up, and it's predominantly a scout place, and they have facilities for activities such as indoor climbing and other things, but they also do events. So they have things like, they've got essentially a converted barn, stone floor, with room for 200 people sat down. They have outdoor spaces.
Yeah, but Andy, I think the main issue is that not like finding a place where you can hold it, but actually organizing it.
Yeah.
It's like the ongoing discussion. Like, I think we're just going in a circle here.
Yes.
Someone needs to take it into their hands and just say, okay, we're doing this here, and take responsibility for it. That's local and has the time to do it.
That's the difficult bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone who's got access to cash and not got a full-time job and a family.
Yeah, or just we don't need to do an event with 200 people. Like, it's just for our friend group, then like a private thing could work out as well.
I think it's easy for us though, isn't it, to kind of feature creep it into, and then we could get a sponsor, and then we could do this, and we could make it 3 days, 4 days. You do just need it. Yeah, it's just nice. It doesn't even have to be an event as such. Just nice to meet up with everyone, or even not even everyone, just a few people.
Food fire friends.
We need another wedding. That would be nice.
Yeah. I've done my one. Someone else.
It was a good one.
Turn.
It was good.
Yeah, it was
and
good.
Rasmus dressed up in his fancy clothes, as did a few other people.
Small
Not quite as
suit.
fancy as Rasmus's clothes, but
very dapper.
yeah.
Well, I can't remember his name, but the gentleman in the kilt was pretty.
I was just racking my brain for his name as well.
Sam.
Pretty close.
Sam, that was it.
Sam Smith,
Yeah.
who I saw today. Yeah.
It's cool.
I have friends on the border of the maker community, not just within it.
I know
Have you sought commission for this?
He has one of my chop saws, so yeah, he's technically
technically he's a maker then.
He also he came to the first Maker Central as well, and there's a
he
picture
wasn't
of
freaked
me...
out by us, so that goes to prove that he is a maker.
There's a picture of me, him, Caro, and Jacko all together.
Yeah, I did remember him.
Yeah. For all those people who are saying, "Oh, I can't come to an event because I'm not a maker and I won't know anyone." Be more like Sam. Turn up anywhere.
Yeah. Wear a kilt.
You
turn
are a
up.
maker. Wear a kilt. Yeah. If you want.
Kilt's optional. Yeah.
It's not going to be on the back of the t-shirt from before.
Yeah.
I think that's a new t-shirt. Yeah. Must get. I do have somewhere. I do have a list of possible t-shirt things based on phrases. Must try and find it.
That's close to 200 t-shirts by now, I guess.
I've only got 8 on my list. I'm looking at it now.
Is that just for this episode so far, though?
No, this is things before I made my t-shirts. One of them was number 4, Pantone chairs. Number 8, win. But I thought that's a bit niche. I quite like the idea of like on old military navigation equipment, they put handle like eggs rather than saying fragile. And I thought, oh, that's quite a nice tray. So I thought, I'll handle like eggs. If anyone
That's
wants
quite nice.
have them.
I wanted to have a sticker that just say "Let's wing it" and then have a picture of the wing nut
Yeah.
coming back
Would
to
you
the
make
wing
it?
nut.
Would you make it to scale for M12 and then scale the rest of the sticker off that wing nut? Or would you get the sticker at a set size and then scale the wing nut to suit on the sticker?
I haven't thought that far.
Typing
not?
sounds while adding to list. Although currently it says Caro, let's wang it because I wasn't typing. Well, I put an extra O in it because I wasn't really looking and I was just typing. Let's wang it.
Oh, maybe we need to start a competition like Brett and Laura had a few years ago, where they were kind of sort of trying to come up with different
Quicker sticker.
That was it. Yeah.
That was it. Yes.
Oh, good challenge that.
Mm.
We can use AI art and pretend we did it ourselves.
Quick, let's go to Fiverr and see if we can find some prompt writers for a Fiverr.
I'm just wondering, to find some transcription software, take each episode, make us waffle, get it transcribed, and then substitute that into the AI and see what that comes up with.
Oh God.
Like a 4-hour prompt.
Yeah.
Why do I have a picture of like a spaghetti bolognese in my head when I think of that? Just total chaos.
Yeah, pretty much.
We haven't talked about food this episode. Let's talk about food.
I like food.
Yeah. Although we did
That's
talk
all I've
about
got to say.
meringue. So
I was going to say, I did mention meringues.
And nuts.
Yeah.
And
And
nuts.
nuts, we did.
Yeah. So
Did talk about
We've,
Okay,
we've almost
good.
got the makings of a dessert.
Is that on your list, James?
Food. No, I don't have a set like specific list. I was just looking through that. I did think of making molten make beer mats. That's on my prints list, not as in artists formerly known as in things I will do on a printer.
Or things that become kings.
Yeah. No, I have a prints list that is separate from my t-shirt printing list.
Is it full of fresh ideas?
Yeah. Will Smith t-shirt.
Do you know how to find them in the snow?
Lists are like just somewhere to shove your brain's output, so that at some point we're doing this. Like, God, making my own beer mats would be a relevant molten make thing to do. And
It
oh,
would.
did I do
You'd think
that?
it would be a very
2018.
early thing to do.
Towels as well, like bar towels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Those
take
rug
your
mats.
t-shirt ideas, scrub the t-shirt off, and put it on bar towels.
That would be quite cool.
So I saw the brain going then. I saw it.
Well, the thing is, I'm now going to have to buy a rug gun.
I
I
can
was
give
going
you
to
one.
say stitched.
I have one. I have one.
Or
I can
an
give it.
embroidery
You've got
machine.
one.
It's the other option.
I can make you a prototype.
Oh, I've got an embroidery machine. It's too detailed. I want it to be really rubbish, like super fluffy bar mat. Like,
Send me over the design. I can make you one.
Like you wash it and it will always be sticky.
yeah,
That kind of fluffy.
yeah.
Hashtag no context.
Oh, dear.
Oh my word! Should we talk about attention grabbing? Yeah.
Yeah.
James, what's been grabbing your attention lately?
So in the grand preparation of previous episodes, I have 3 again. I've tried to split them up because I can't just do one, and I didn't know who else who would have thought of one. So do you guys want me? Shall I do one and then we'll see?
I'll just
I think just by-
I haven't
by
prepared
time and-
anything, so
spit them all out.
Okay. Okay.
You can
so,
just do it for all 3 of us.
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
take
okay.
one.
So Duncan's one is GX Ace. He's on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube as GX Ace. Have you seen his stuff, Duncan? Of course you
Oh
have.
yeah,
That's your
of course I have.
recommendation.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be my attention grabber.
Your spiff grabber. So GX Ace, as I remember you told me, is a camera channel.
Yes, I love
the
cameras.
reason, but it's more an inspiration. So every episode is more like a short film. So he's got like a one thing is like a persistence of vision screen that he does his Patreon read on, and it's really cool. It says like in the year 2050 something, GX Ace needs your support. So it's a really novel way of making your advert interesting, particularly for new people. And he's built a set where he's got this like hive mind headset, and he talks about things. So rather than just being, hey, I've bought a new camera, look how good the camera is, I can use it to take the same photos as every other camera, there's a real story behind everything. And I think it's a good like gear review inspiration for some of the things that we might find a bit boring. Like if people did tool reviews in that style, I'd be watching them every day. So GX Ace. Maker One, Shed Racing. Kind of Maker adjacent. So Shed Racing, they are pretty much exactly as you'd expect. It's kind of not wishing to characterize them too much, but kind of like old boy in his shed racing. And they've got a
Not like Ed China style motorized shed.
No, not quite.
Right.
So these are, I think it's boiler suit wearing man in the shed, but they've got an old old aeroplane engine, like a 6-liter straight six engine car. They've got a couple of other things. Like this popped up, and I thought, okay, like I keep getting recommended this thing. Let's just see. And it was really interesting just to see how it's a very old thing, but actually they've obviously got someone who's into filming. They've got a couple of different cameras, but it's not a production level thing. It's just very convenient that they've got a really old fashioned car and someone who quite likes filming that's created this like channel around an old man in his shed. Well, he's not that old, but older boiler suited person in their shed. So that's my kind of Maker One. And then for learning, Cleo Abram. So she was on Vox. So she is just the channel's called Cleo Abram, but her concept is I think it's called Huge If True. So you might have seen like the thing that just says huge asterisk if true. And she does Vox, so Vox Media that did like the 5 most important photographs in history, but a really nicely produced video documentary short. So she was in that world. Cleo Abram, again, for anyone's writing this down. She left Vox and in January of this year started her own channel. And the last one I saw was to do with AI art and how it's not taking jobs from artists. And so she got her friend who's a digital artist to use it, and she used it, and it showed that knowledge of art and different styles makes a huge difference to the output you get. But she makes really well crafted video documentary shorts, and she's, I think, independent. So you might think, oh, another Vox, another this person. There's been a few different kind of spin out people from that world, but she's put together maybe 15 really beautiful videos that are worth a watch.
Nice.
There you go.
Cool.
That was Kara's one, that last one.
I do have something.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes, I do have something, which is not out yet, so might be a bit of a long stretch, but maybe you can write the date down because it's going to be a movie on Netflix, which is coming out on October 28th. And it's actually the candidate for the German like Oscar nomination thingy. So the Academy Awards, like international best movie, yada yada. That is supposed to be on the shortlist, but it's All Quiet on the Western Front, which is by when is it from 1930 something, I think, from the book from Erich Remarque, and it has been adapted a couple of times, but I don't think ever from a German perspective, right? So there have been like, I think in the 70s or something, there has been a movie made, but I can't remember if it was American or It was not a German version of that movie, and so I've seen it just this week because there was the German premiere, and it's been in cinemas, like in selected cinemas as well. And it is quite depressing, but it is very, very, very good. It is beautiful pictures, like you kind of see over the brutality of the whole story because the whole filmography is just stunning, and all the pictures are just so fucking beautiful. Just of the landscape and the whole like toned down, and they're basically the whole thing plays 2.5 hours in the mud, so I don't even want to know what kind of production went into that. I know that they had 51 days of filming, which is a fucking lot. Like usually you have, for a 2-hour movie, you have like 40 days. And all this in very cold weather with a lot of mud, like all the soldiers in uniform, all the makeup and everything. It's just the amount of work that was put into this movie is incredible. And I think it's remarkable because it's from a very unheroic point of view, because as we all know, like Germany lost, and it's there's no sugarcoating in any way. It could have been done a bit more brutal, if I'm perfectly honest, but they wanted to keep it like 16 plus, so more people can see it. And yeah, it's I don't really know what to say about it. Anything then it's a very, very good movie.
It might be a tough question, but I'm assuming is it going to be? Is there going to be a dubbed version, or is it done in English? Or I'm guessing
I would assume it's a dubbed version. Yes. I don't know if I don't think that Netflix does like English. No, sub version, not dub version. I don't think they will synchronize it in English.
That makes sense.
Cool.
But yeah,
Be interesting to see the perspective of it.
it is, and I mean, for me, it was a bit difficult because I was just stunned by the whole. You don't say photography yourself. You say filmography or camera work.
Cinematography.
Cinematography, right? Sorry, it's so fucking late here. So I was so stunned by all of this that it was kind of hard for me to get into the mood, if you want to say it like that. But I think if you are in the right, you shouldn't be too sad before you start watching it. Maybe be in a good mood before you start watching it, and then
downhill from there.
Feel slightly depressed after it, but I think it's very good, and they have a lot of like very good German actors as well for this.
I take it the half isn't in it.
What?
I take it
German.
David Hassel. Yeah, David Hasselhoff isn't in it then.
He's not German. Don't know what you're talking about.
It's called All Quiet on the Western Front, and it's out on 28th of October, you said?
Yes.
On Netflix?
Yes.
But in Germany. So if you don't have German Netflix already, that's where the sponsor of this week's episode, NordVPN.
No, it's out.
That was a big wind-up.
It was.
I think it's out internationally on Netflix. Not just in Germany.
It doesn't matter where your VPN needs to connect to.
Yeah.
But if it does, make sure it's NordVPN.
Fucking hell.
But can we still play Raid Shadow Legends through our NordVPN connection?
It was such a serious topic.
I can't be serious for any great length of time. And
It's
it does
okay.
look like a very good. It does look like a very good film.
It is a very good film, and it's hard to say, but it is entertaining as well. If you watch it with a kind of a mental distance, because it's, as I said, with everything going on at the moment, it might be a bit hard to watch. But
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it purely from that kind of completely different aspect of seeing that, because obviously growing up, we sort of hear about what went on, but from our side of stuff.
yeah, and that's what I mean, because usually if you have these kind of war films, it's always like the winner's side. So you have the heroes and celebrating and stuff like that. And in the end, you know that, spoiler alert, everyone will be dead. Right? So,
Yeah, makes sense.
Duncan,
Hi.
pull us out of this.
yes, make some happy ending, please.
You thought of something?
I'm so sorry.
What's been grabbing my attention? I haven't really particularly got a YouTube or an Instagram. I can pick anything, right?
It doesn't have to be
well,
YouTube or Instagram. Yeah.
What really has been grabbing my attention is flaming web development. Because I've been down this rabbit hole of creative coding and generating art with code, and I can't get my head out of it at the minute, and it's lots to get into. Lots of wins, lots of frustrations, but yeah, coding is something I enjoy. I'd probably recommend everyone do a little bit of something, logic, programming, Excel formulas, some kind of something to sort of, oh, we've lost the Caro.
Gone to do some programming. Wasn't an immediate recommendation.
But yeah, that's what's been occupying my mind recently, and trying to turn creative coding into an actual physical product of some kind or another.
Sorry, I just had formulas and my computer went. Shut it down.
Too many Excel spreadsheets open. I've been there.
Yeah. But I'd recommend anyone try a little bit of code or automating something boring, or just have a go at something. A bit of Python or
weirdly enough,
Raspberry Pi stuff, or
make.com.
Arduinos.
Make.com, as I found out. Someone now owns make.com, and it's a visual coding thing, so you can get services to interact with each other if they've got like APIs or ways for things to connect.
Like there's loads of them now. Like IFTTT is a well-known one.
That's a good one, was that Node-RED? Was that one we were looking at the other day?
Yeah, Node-RED's another one. But
so that's Z as well, isn't there? Yeah. There's one beginning with Z. I can't remember what it's called.
Zapier.
Zapier.
Yeah.
Zapier.
That might be it. Yeah.
Just basically nerdy interconnects, aren't they? Link stuff to other stuff. Yeah.
Again, it's a bit like you don't necessarily need to learn a code language, but you might just want to connect two different things together, and these kind of things will do that for you with simple like line arrow things. And if you can figure out the exactly. If you can figure out the process, it'll do the code for you. Low code or no code, I think, is a really big upcoming trend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good shout on that.
And you've been playing with lasers too.
And I've been playing with lasers too. Yeah, so I Duncaned my laser.
You did. You very did.
Yeah, so I had this very, very cheap laser cutter that I got from an auction. A local auction. Nobody
Jamesed
knew what it
that.
was. Yeah, I James that bit.
Yeah.
Local auction. It was listed as a 3D printer.
Oh, even better. Mislisted item.
And I don't think anyone there knew what it
That's
was.
a t-shirt. Mislisted
Yeah.
item.
Isn't that a sash? Mislisted item.
Yes.
That's why I'm going as Halloween. Screw sexy cat.
I do feel lucky.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yes,
Yes.
you make a
Jesus.
central
Laser.
costume. Yeah, sorry.
I'm done.
Jamie, what's been grabbing your attention? With you,
Laughing.
dog.
Yeah, laughing. We went to the Northampton Royal and Derngate last night to watch Dave Gorman, who is probably one of my favourite comedians. He's a proper nerd. He was talking about how things like over lockdown, because he likes a cryptic crossword. That's the kind of nerd he is. And over lockdown, when he couldn't go and perform shows, he ended up becoming a professional cryptic crossword setter, and then managed to get himself a nemesis through reviews of cryptic crosswords. You know, super, super niche nerd humor. But he's just such a funny guy. So yeah, it was 2 hours of proper belly laughs. So yeah, that's very much what's been grabbing my attention the most.
Cool.
How about you, Andy?
What's been grabbing my attention? Well, I had a delivery of a new tool this week, which is a heavy-duty guillotine, so I can cut paper and card. Makes life a
Bookbinding.
lot easier. What was that, James?
Binding some books.
So I can do some binding of some books. Yeah, so I can
Yeah.
actually trim the card without having to kind of lean over and repeatedly slice with an X-Acto knife. I can actually just stick the card in and cut it in
Other
one
brands
go.
are available.
Brands are available, yes. But they were again one of our sponsors this week, X-Acto knives. Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, so I picked up a Dali guillotine, DHLE.
DALLE.
No, not Dali, the sort of thing. Yeah, German engineering. Nice little bargain off Amazon warehouse. Saved £130 because they had a bit of the grips on the handle had broken off. So a couple of rubber bands have done the job until I can get round to gluing them. So yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. I haven't used it properly yet, but I've done some test cuts and it's
You've still got all your fingers and things.
Yeah, fingers don't fit under the guard, unfortunately. Fortunately,
That's
so yeah, so that's good. And I've also I've finished my daily drawing. I stopped. For 2 years. I did 2 years to the
Wow.
date.
Well
I was
done.
going to do October, but I figured I looked at the prompts and thought none of these jump at me, and I'm tired of it now.
fair. Yeah.
So daily drawing for 2 years and 3 days, I think it was actually, but
That's insane.
Yeah, switch to a more
Amazing.
complex weekly one, or
I don't know. I'm just taking a break for a
Colored
few
pencils
days.
next.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to. There's a
Oil
book that I found
painting.
a little while ago called "Drawing for the Utter Beginner," which sort of takes you through kind of sort of sketching, proper sketching, kind of from scratch. So I might get a copy of that and just do sketching rather than trying to do one-line stuff.
do digital drawing.
Yeah.
Mix it up, do a bit of something different every month.
I've got a Wacom tablet, so yeah, I could do that. But yeah, I'm just gonna take a break from that. Just gonna relax from that for a bit. Yeah, and I think I might try and just divert that attention that I was kind of putting into that. I'm just going to try and put that into something else, but I'm not sure what yet. So it might be the coding. I mean, as Jamie and Duncan know, I've been kind of sort of teaching on the edge of doing some coding. I've got some books, so maybe it's just a case of right. I'm going to take that daily drawing time, and it's going to be daily coding time. So, but
Could you
we'll
drawings
see.
with code?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
Very true.
next year maybe. But
It's good fun. I promise.
yeah. So that's me. Yeah.
There's
That's
good
me.
like little tutorial on how to draw an owl as well. If you
Yes, there is.
if anyone wants to get into drawing, just you can Google it. It's called How to Draw an Owl. It's pretty simple actually.
Yeah, it's only was it 3 steps?
Yeah, pretty easy. Just little treat special for people to look up afterwards. But
I'm going to look
Andy,
it up now.
now
As its
now
entire
that you're
own
not drawing,
subreddit.
you can post a picture of your guillotine on the Maker's Waffle Instagram. for people
Yes,
to
I
see,
probably
'cause
should. Yes.
I would like to see what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yes. Maybe I shall. Yes.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll
Extra
stick it-
special
I'll stick it in.
multi-angle photos for the
Yeah.
Patreon.
Or maybe I was
Just
going to say, maybe I'll just stick it in the Patreon. So yeah, just the patrons can see it.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Patrons.
What
will
a
get it first.
tease.
I've been binging the whole season of The Empress, and if you say a guillotine, I have something else in mind. So.
I thought you were
Off
going to
with
say
the
you've been
hats.
binging the whole Maker's Waffle Instagram page.
But is there any? No.
We're trying to keep pace with the Fools for Tools Instagram, so we're not
Mm.
rushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my guillotine is sharp enough, but I don't think you'd have to have a very small neck or head to be subjected to any.
Guillotine
Danger
for
from it.
ants.
Yes. Yeah. I think you
Andy's
could
not going
probably
to get that reference.
no. I'd probably get some good. You could probably fit certain body parts into it.
Have the Nosferatu spiders yet reached the UK border?
Why did you need to ask me that before I go to sleep?
Yeah.
Couldn't you save that till the morning?
We've had some particularly fun and interesting spiders, but
Not
Don't
the
know about those.
Nosferatu one. Okay.
I don't know.
Guess I haven't even heard of it.
No?
Well, have fun.
On that note,
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, perhaps we should all go and hit Google, apart from Karen, who's
Yeah.
probably needs to go and get to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get
folks,
down
thank you
coal
so
mine.
much for joining us. It's been an absolute delight to
been
spend
fun.
some time with you guys, as always.
Yes, if people didn't work it out earlier, yes, we were due to have a different guest today, but that guest had to withdraw through illness, and these three boldly
Lovely.
stepped into the gap and given us a great group
Mind the
chat
gap.
for our 70th episode.
In fairness, what we've basically done is had a couple of hours chatting with our friends, but accidentally hit record at the start.
Report. Freudian slip.
Oh,
yeah.
record? I'm supposed to record it? Oh no! Right, can we just go back to start again?
Yeah.
Wait, Carol,
We-
for about
we-
20 minutes.
We wish whoever it is in the UK, US, or highly specific European country all the best for getting better, whoever they are.
Yes, indeed.
Switzerland?
Yes.
Yes! I know who it is. Jenny Swiss.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not. Right. On that note, I think everyone knows where to find you. They can always go back and look at your specific episodes: 44 for James, 13 for Caro, and 4 for Duncan.
Sounds about right.
And I'd find
And
you
if not, just
through that.
go to the part of the episode where we all, or you all described each other.
Yeah.
where you can be found.
Good luck finding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back towards your behind.
There's no bookmarks here.
Yeah. No
Nope.
chapters.
On that note, goodbye, folks, and we'll see you
Goodbye,
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
It's very filled with tools.